Yes, sir. Welcome in. Trade deadline special. I got to be honest, man. The way that we feel now compared to, say, 24 hours ago is probably 150% different. Like, we had this idea in mind to do this show, not expecting what happened last night. So we're going to have to dive into that, talk about it. I don't know where everybody stands, but I'm sure we'll probably not all agree on everything. And then we'll get into the trade deadline talk because, believe it or not, what are we, 8 days away from the NBA trade deadline? We're 8 days away from the final version of this team, with the exception of buyouts, heading in to the season. And with that being said, we had to run it back, no pun intended, with the Mount Rushmore of the Sixers content, fellas, the Sixers sickos. And yeah, man, I'm glad we were able to put this thing together. Roundtable of the decade. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got a lot of people in here already. And we're going to take phone calls later on, a few special calls for people that want to chime in, whether it's Embiid's health or the trade deadline. What do the Sixers do? Because I think now there's just so many more questions. And I'm excited to hear what these guys have to say. But RB, DJ Eastwood, Sean Barnard, Romp, fellas, thank you for coming on. How are we? I'm going to let somebody just take the stage here and how do we feel? What's the pulse of this team? I'm pissed,
dude. I want to know. I feel absolutely terrible, and I want to know if anybody else is nervous about the trade deadline because we haven't been involved in a single rumor. I can't even get the writer of some random website, hypehoops.com or something, to make up a rumor that the Sixers are involved in. And if nothing happens, I'm gonna be just at a loss for words because I won't even know what to say. Anyone else nervous?
Yeah, and I'm still cooling down off the frustration and nervousness after the Joel Embiid stuff. I hate that my tinfoil hat is telling me that he's flying back to Philly to get a second opinion on whatever this is. And I think that is going to likely dictate the direction of this trade deadline as well. That I'm not saying that if he's going to be out for the year, speculating that type of thing, but whether he's out for several months or a couple weeks, I do think changes the picture from the Sixers perspective, and they don't have a lot of time to act. So I am being prepared to be underwhelmed, and we'll be very frustrated if that is the case, because I do think, assuming if Joel Embiid is healthy and going to be at least capable of returning to the floor this year, this seems good enough to take a big swing and go for it. So I hope that's the case, and I'm unconfident Daryl Morey feels the same way.
Here's where I'm at with it. So say tomorrow we get the worst news possible, Embiid's out for the season. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hashtag bring.
You would be the one that just hit us with that right off the bat.
Come on, man.
Hashtag,
come on, man.
Bring LeBron James to Philadelphia. He's going to opt out of that contract and we'll be good for next season. But it's not going to be season ending. I got sources. I don't, but trust me. It's going to be like a month or two, maybe weeks. Luckily, I don't know. And if that's the case, let's go. I'm all in on Zach LaVine. I wasn't before. Bring me Zach LaVine. We need a vibe change. And I feel like going big for Zach LaVine, it's a risk, but there's not much in free agency besides my guy LeBron, but we're not going to get him unless Embiid's out for the year. So yeah, and then it'll be Maxey and Zach LaVine, and they'll carry us for the rest of the year, and we'll probably be around the 5 or 6 seed. And then come playoff time, Embiid will be a little more refreshed. We'll be underdogs, and that's how we like it in Philly. So that's where I'm thinking.
Well, dude, I think. Go ahead, RB.
I was just gonna say that's the most positive take I could have heard so far, on this show. I mean, I don't feel good at all, and there's a plethora of reasons, but I am not happy right now. And we'll talk about last night and all, but man, this team has a lot of issues, and they have a couple really big questions to figure out in the next 8 days.
I think Sean makes an amazing point about we got to find out what's going on with Joel Embiid before we can think about what they're going to do at the deadline. The call that I posted from last night about trading Embiid, I'm just on this Daryl Morey over the course of his career. I know a lot of people like to act like Daryl Morey's not doing anything and isn't even thinking about basketball, and he's asleep on the couch or whatever. He's not necessarily thinking about the season that's happening currently. He's always thinking ahead because at the end of the day, he's trying to be a GM in the league for 10 or 20 more years. And if you look at what he did with the Houston Rockets, he didn't mess around when he felt like it was time. When he took over the Tracy McGrady Yao Ming thing and he felt like it was time, he avoided a 10-year tank by, moving things quickly. And he had his eye on James Harden, obviously. But, I think it's shocking to think about, and people don't want to think about it. But I think Daryl Morey probably has it in the back of his mind. Like, if this guy's not healthy again, I got to start making some moves here, or we're going to be in a situation.
Yeah, and a point that I think we should hit on here is this is the first time that Daryl Morey is really getting to paint this roster as he sees fit. That since he got to Philadelphia, he's had to undo so much as far as trading the Al Horford contract, working out from Ben Simmons, the James Harden holdout. There's been all these like significant roadblocks that have prevented him from like actually filling out the roster in the way that he sees fit. Having all these numbers and all these contracts coming off the books, clearing all the cap space for free agency, feels like it's finally the point where Daryl Morey is saying like, I'm going to build the team, the contender, the way that I see it fit. So I don't think he's willing to really sacrifice that type of flexibility. I kind of disagree with that from a mindset standpoint, just because I think the free agency class is pretty light and we just don't see guys move in free agency the way that we once did. So I think you can make the argument that there's more value in having contracts on the books that you're capable of flipping. But I do think Morty's finally hit the point where he's looking at this roster of I can finally make it my own in a way that it has not been in past seasons.
I'm going to tell you the problem with that as of right now is that even though I think Morey does have the freedom to build a roster how he wants, he still has a couple pieces left that are in the way. For instance, a Tobias Harris where, we kind of get the sense now, right? Like they're not going to trade Tobias. He should have traded him in the offseason. He didn't. He continues to troll with the crumble cookies and all that. And here we are. There's been no rumblings about a Tobias Harris trade. So that's just one piece, for example, that until that contract expires and we have that cap space, but I agree with you, Sean, who are we going to sign in free agency? Like all of these guys, I saw a report the other day. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. They said, what did they say? League sources are getting the sense or something like that Paul George still hasn't signed a contract extension. That was the most I've heard in terms of any name that the Sixers could get this offseason. League sources are well aware. That's what they said. Well aware that Paul George has not signed a contract. That's where we're at. Who's going to want to come to Philly on a big deal based on how the team looks? We do know that this team only is going to have 4 players on the roster at the end of the season. So the problem is that you want to go contend right now, but I agree with you guys in that you don't know what the future holds now. If Joel Embiid is out for a month or two, is it worth it? Is it worth it to actually go all in? And then again, to go all in, what are you going to give up? The problem with the Sixers, and we've realized this as of very late, they are top heavy. When Joel Embiid is out, the whole castle collapses. So what are they going to give up to go get this stud player? Jaden Springer, KJ Martin? Is that going to get it done versus competing offers? And that's where my head is at right now. And I think it's a concerning situation.
Well, I think they can still get stuff done because they do have picks and that's all the Hawks want for Dejounte Murray. Zach LaVine's contract is really bad, so his value is in the dump. So all they would have to do is throw they could match with like Marcus Morris and Covington or whatever if they don't want to trade Tobias, which they don't want to. And then add some picks and you can definitely get LaVine because it seems like no one wants him. But even though they don't have any like great players to trade besides, I guess, Springer, I think DeAnthony Melton is probably our best asset that's realistically going to be moved because Tobias, for some reason, they don't want to trade him. My theory is because Joel Embiid wants continuity, and also Tobias is a very, very good locker room leader. So if you're going to trade Tobias, I don't think it's really worth it because Joel might get pissed off because he clearly likes Tobias and he likes continuity all of a sudden. And honestly, he's a terrible GM because he was pissed that Thibault was traded. He wanted Ben Simmons back as well. So I think a reason Tobias ain't going nowhere is because of Embiid, which is another reason I'm pissed at him. Get better, get well soon, Joel, but I'm still pissed off at you. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, the modern NBA is your superstar becomes the interim GM. Look at the Milwaukee Bucks situation right now.
Going well for him.
We
But to
could
be
have
honest,
Doc back. We could have Doc. It could be worse.
but that Bucks point is like what makes me still believe the Sixers team has to go for it. That again, there is a little asterisk next to this due to the Joel Embiid injury stuff, and we still have to get that update on that. But like the East is good, it's deep, but none of these teams are impossible to beat. The Celtics are by far and away the best team in the conference, I feel, and the one team that I definitely hold in slightly different regard. But then you look below that, like the Bucks are a very beatable team, but they have holes defensively in that team. And then teams like the Cavs, the Pacers, the Heat, they're all good teams, but they're beatable. And Joel Embiid is going to be the best player on the floor against every single one of these teams. So when that is the case, you have to go for it year in and year out. And especially that, like, you look forward to next year or the year in the future, there's not a better chance that Embiid is going to be healthy then. Like, he's only getting older. There's only more miles on him that I feel like Daryl Morey sometimes overlooks how large the window could possibly be, that I feel like it's a disservice to Embiid to sacrifice any season that you're not fully contending for a championship.
Yeah, I would agree. And I just have a concern about Joel Embiid's health. I mean, how many years have we sat here and said, we might have to deal with a banged up Embiid in a postseason run. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. He's been injured for 3 weeks, a month? He's been playing through injury. And without Joel Embiid, this team is 3-9. So they can't really go out and compete. They just got whooped by the Blazers, who are an atrocious basketball team. They couldn't compete with Golden State. So if Joel Embiid's out, I mean, how far are you going to dip in the standings? And right now we're seeing the New York Knicks. What did they do? They made a move. They're hot, 8 in a row. Pacers made a move. They look like a team that could be an interesting threat in a first or second round series. So I just think it's been a weird year where guys are getting moved early, but now who's left? Who's left? And to your point, Romp, about Zach LaVine, do the Sixers want to take on 4 more years of Zach LaVine? Like, is that how you build a team in the modern day? Because right now, I don't know if I want to take that on, especially with the injury history, some of the liabilities. I hear you in that he's probably one of the best talents out there, but are the Sixers going to back themselves into another bad contract situation? Are we going to look down the line in 3 years, say, damn, can't wait to get off this contract?
Well, there's got to be a reason nobody is offering anything for Zach LaVine. There has to be more of a reason than just the contract. Is this a personality thing? Is this the fact that he sometimes will score 2 points in 27 minutes? Is this injury history? There has to be. Do guys not like playing with him? I mean, I've watched him play plenty, and it doesn't. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't really look like he gels with guys. It just looks like he's kind of playing Zach LaVine's basketball game when he's out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it really helps a team. As soon as he went down with the Bulls the last time, they were surprisingly way better with him off the floor. So could teams be really analyzing that and saying, like, not only do we not want to pay this money for a guy that isn't a superstar, but is he almost a negative? You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not the biggest Zach LaVine advocate. I'm just saying, if you want to go all in this season, it's worth going for him, because you look at all the guys Embiid has upped throughout his career. JJ Redick and Seth Curry, those two are the biggest that come to mind. And Zach LaVine is just like a different version, but a way better version than those two. And he fits next to Maxey pretty well, because Maxey can play off ball, on ball. Zach LaVine can play off ball. And if he's really motivated because everyone is roasting him and no one wants to trade for him, you should get a motivated Zach LaVine. And also, Nick Nurse, he should turn him into a fine defensive player. Not a great defensive player, but Oubre, he wasn't supposed to be a good defender. And when we've been healthy and playing our best basketball, Oubre's been one of our most impactful defenders. So I think he would be fine defensively, and also he would give us a much needed scoring punch, because The one thing that this team is lacking, and I think that's the reason you're seeing a 3-9 record without Joel Embiid, is there's no one who could put the ball on the floor and score consistently. But if they add that,
Right.
did you see the defense they were playing yesterday in the first half? They're playing great defense. They just couldn't buy a shot because they couldn't hit open shots. And guess what? When you have a guy like Zach LaVine who could get hot, everything comes easier for everyone else because basketball, it's just contagious. You start, one guy makes shots, then the next guy's making open looks. Batum's more likely to make it. Pat Beverly's more likely to make it. And yes, we suck without Joel Embiid, but what is our record with Joel Embiid? And you're looking at the Boston Celtics, they're a great team, but they're also a soft, mentally inconsistent team. I'm not saying we match up terribly against them, but if they go up against the New York Knicks, the Knicks are beating them. And guess what? The New York Knicks, they could beat anyone as well. They could lose to anyone. So you have Joel Embiid, say he's not out for the year, and he comes back like a month before the playoffs. You get a refreshed Joel Embiid. Imagine we have a refreshed Joel Embiid, and we're looking good, but we got Pat Beverly as our sixth man still. You really want that to be a possibility? Like, I don't know. Obviously, it all depends on what happens tomorrow with the MRI, but this team isn't far away because Joel is that good. Now, if you don't believe in Joel, then that's a different story. I do. I don't necessarily believe in his health, but I mean, he's our only chance because look at the trades for superstars. Look at the Trailblazers. The Dame trade they got back. We're not going to get anything crazy back for Joel.
Yeah, I think you bring up a ton of good points, Romp. And as far as the trading superstar, like get out of here with trading Joel. That like the team that wins a trade is generally who walks away with the best player. And there's really not move to go up from Joel Embiid, let alone if you're trying to contend for a championship. There's not the win now pieces, and turning the keys over to Tyrese Maxey, just not quite the time yet. And to bring it into the Zach LaVine conversation, that's also, I think, a point in his favor is I think there's just a little bit too much on Maxey's shoulders right now in a way that, like, I'm not necessarily criticizing him for, but we're asking this guy to be the primary creator, the secondary scorer, and frankly, like, he's looked tired before the ankle injury. Like, the way that he's moved, leading the league in minutes, I think having another ball handler, a guy that can just take some off his shoulders, would be really beneficial from a long-term standpoint and just make the offense more dangerous. That I think Zach LaVine and Dejounte Murray are both guys that can add to that or fit that category. And when we talk about the contract side of things, because I do think Daryl Morey is very much zeroed in on that, that's where I think they separate the pack. That I think you can have your pick of the litter, whether you like LaVine or Murray as players. Both have flaws, both have strengths for sure. For LaVine specifically, he's got connections to both Joel and Maxey. That with Joel, he is a Drew Hanlon guy that they've trained together, worked out together. With Maxey, that they're both New Balance guys, both clutch guys. So they have the same agency, same shoe sponsorship. They've at least filmed commercials together and know each other. So there is at least some relationship there. But then when you bring up the contract side of things, we're talking about LaVine making $50 million in the near future. Like, you got to be committed to that being your guy. When you look at a Dejounte Murray, we're talking $30 million in the 27 to 28 year. That to me is manageable. We know what Murray is, that he's a fringe all-star player. And frankly, like, that's a better contract than Tobias Harris is on for a better player than Tobias Harris. So if you want to talk about that, that's a contract that I would be willing to commit to. And I don't think is going to age particularly poorly in a way that's going to hamstring this franchise in the way that I think LaVine's potentially could, or the way that I guess other deals across the board could.
All right, let me get to some of these super chats. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Drop a like on the show. Man, we just started diving into this trade talk. You guys couldn't hold back, could you? Philly Drills
we need something.
Super chat. He says, Toby, Melton, Morris, and picks for Mikal Bridges and Simmons. Crazy, I know. I don't see any way Mikal gets traded from.
He's not getting traded. He's not getting traded at all. People keep saying that. I'm on a thing where, like, if there wasn't even a hint at a rumor again from at least some random guy with a website, then it's not. I mean, there's just people keep saying that there has been not a single signal that Mikal Bridges is possibly getting traded out of Brooklyn.
Yeah,
and I think that they think he's. I don't know what I think of Mikal Bridges. I think he's an amazing role player. I don't know if he's a leading scorer on a championship roster, but I think Brooklyn might think that.
He's a perfect complement for what the Sixers need right now. Like he
Oh
would
my
be
God,
the
yeah.
perfect fit. And
Well, he was a perfect fit when the Sixers drafted him.
yeah,
The one that got away for real. That is like the one that, as much as we want to sugarcoat things, and obviously hindsight's 2020, all these things, like Mikal Bridges, like still tweets about the Phillies. Like his mom worked for the Sixers, man, and we just traded this dude away.
He was so perfect we were scared. It's like
Yeah.
you came across a woman and you were like, there's no way she's this perfect, dude, and you just run away. You run away and hide.
but they were so overly exaggerating about Zaire's dunk ability, his slashing ability.
That was one of those idiot owners. It was like, but this guy did a 360 in a college game. We got to get him.
Honestly, that's what his highlight tape was.
He's the next Michael Jordan.
Yeah, honestly. Mr. Radipu, the $5 super chat, says it would be idiotic to trade draft assets and expirings with this guy already hurt. Joel is no longer a building block. Let him go.
What is with the love affair for picks? I'm so confused. Did you guys not go through the process where our only good picks were Joel Embiid and like Tyrese Maxey, and then our other good picks recently have been second rounders like Paul Reed and Isaiah Joe? Like, picks are the most overrated thing in basketball. Look at OKC. They have all the picks in the world, and they're going to waste this season when they're ready to win a championship rather than making a move. They're not going to make any moves because they're in love with picks for some odd reason, and they're going to get second rounded most likely because they're playing Josh Giddey, who's worse than Ben Simmons ever was. 20 minutes a night. I digress. I digress. I just don't get this love affair with picks. The reason you do the process is for a generational talent like Joel Embiid. He has issues. Believe me, I'm a big critiquer of Embiid, but we have a chance every single year. We went 7 with Boston. We weren't favored. It sucks losing, but it also is a privilege just to have a chance.
We're getting to the point.
Look at the Blazers now.
The fan base is getting to a point where there's so many different dynamics right now. There's people that say trade Embiid, and there's people that say, why would you ever even consider that? And I really think if nothing happens at this trade deadline, it's because Daryl Morey is not all in on Joel Embiid. If he was all in on Joel Embiid, I think something would definitely happen at this trade deadline because there's definitely things that are possible. The Dejounte Murray thing is possible. The Malcolm Brogdon thing is possible. It's not, and when I talked about it yesterday, a lot of the comments on the clip on Instagram are people that clearly don't even watch games. They're just like, why in the world would you consider trading? Dude, and someone said you don't get better by trading your best player. I'm like, we're talking about him not being healthy again in the playoffs. He could be the best player in the world. If he's not on the floor, it does nothing for you. If he's not healthy again in these playoffs, I can't do it anymore. I can't.
Yeah, and I agree with that because you've had so many opportunities. Like we went 7 with Atlanta, with Boston. Like these are the opportunities that you don't get back. Like a lot of cores, they only get a couple chances. Nowadays, it's all, a bunch of movement and turnover and guys going here and teaming up. They had the opportunities. They blew them. So I think the reason people want these picks so bad is because they're looking towards the future, man. Like if the Sixers go out again in the second round, what do we say? What do we say? Do we come up here and say, well, next year?
I think Daryl Morey's been the best drafting GM we've had in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't understand how people are frustrated with Daryl. I understand if he does nothing at this deadline, I will be frustrated. But to this point, as Sean said earlier, he's had to unravel all of the mistakes. It's not easy to move assets when you have a Tobias Harris heavy contract, when you had a Ben Simmons contract. So, people just think that you can make magic and make things happen without having to give things up. And it's just tough based on where the Sixers are at. And it's partly why I don't want to acquire another $40-50 million contract, because if things go awry, it's tough to clear that.
I will say, what do you guys think Daryl Morey was doing this past summer? Did he not do anything the whole summer because he really thought James Harden was going to change his mind and come back? Because he was that much in love with him and he didn't want to remove the life-size painting in the entrance to his house of James Harden that he had personally hand-painted by an artist for probably way too much money.
He spent
and then right, and then he realized it wasn't going to happen, and then he had to panic sign Patrick Beverley and Mo Bamba And I mean, and it looked good in the beginning, but again, these guys are 49 years old, and Mo Bamba has been injured 10 of his 11-year career or whatever it is, 7 of 8. And now you're seeing guys with nagging hamstrings and knees and everything. And it's I'm looking at what he did this past offseason, and I'm like, he didn't do anything because he sat on the James Harden thing. When you look at, we have the worst bench scoring in the entire league right now. And when you were talking about the Pacers earlier, the Pacers have the best bench scoring in the entire league right now. And every time I see a team like that, I just see guys like Benedict Mathurin. And I'm like, where's our Benedict Mathurin, man? Why don't we just have 6'8", 6'7", 22-year-old basketball players? Where are they all at? There's a ton of them on the end of Portland's bench. We watched this dude named, I don't even remember his name, Euro step finger roll Mo Bamba like it was nothing, and he's on the end of Portland's bench. And we're out here with 40-year-old dudes. Every year it's like this. Why don't we have the 21-year-old 6'7", 220 NBA players?
Mm-hmm. But to your point, DJ, like the big return of this James Harden deal was those draft picks. It was to repackage those for the piece that does get this team over the edge. So now do that. Now it is, you have to flip those. That is where this will ultimately get judged for who wins that deal. Was this acceptable for the Sixers? It's what you do with these picks. So it's time to do something with those picks. So now it is kind of the clock ticking on Daryl. And I did like that from a mindset standpoint from Daryl at that point, that I don't think like the cream of the crop guy was there. So it was better to, rather than force it, to kind of extend the period, keep the asset or the closet full of assets loaded, and then attack. But that only works if you do attack. So I feel like the pressure is now on Daryl, and we'll see what he does with those actual draft picks.
It's going to be interesting. Bill, $10 Super Chat says, guys, hope I'm not jumping the gun, but if you had to answer right now to the 4 of you, do you think Morey will make a trade this season involving at least one first-round pick? Let's just get a quick answer. Everybody go around, say yes or no, because we're going to get into more like trade talk later.
I say yes.
Yes.
No.
It depends. It depends on the results of the MRI.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm telling you.
He has to be bought in on Joel Embiid's health to make a big splash for this season. If he's not, he's not gonna mortgage the future.
I don't think it's gonna be a huge trade, but I think it's gonna be like Bogdanovich from the Hawks. And I'm telling you, if we get any scorer in that second unit, that record without Joel Embiid will turn around. It won't be crazy, but it will be way better than 3-9 because we're playing without any shot creators who can dribble besides Pat Bev. How do you?
Yeah, but again,
we could just replay streams from 3 years ago. We're saying the same thing. We still don't have any shot creators off the bench.
Here's my thing.
Yeah, but Shake was giving you 20 points last year without Harden and Maxey. And you signed Mo Bamba when Shake signed for $2 million. I don't care what he's doing in Minnesota. He always stepped up when called upon when people were injured. That is a big mistake that people won't acknowledge because it's Shake Milton. But if we had Shake, he also has a good 2-man game with Paul Reed. He would help the games without Embiid. He was huge for us last year in those moments without Harden and Maxey. And that's just a little move that is cooking us right now because what is Mo Bamba? Come on.
Terrible.
Look, I'm all here for it didn't make any sense to re-sign Trez and Bamba and these guys. But here's where I don't agree with you guys. And I'm tired of people in the chat even commenting this stuff to me. The record without Embiid, what I meant by that earlier is the Sixers need more guys. That's what they need. But the record without Embiid means nothing. If they get to the playoffs and Embiid is not healthy, it doesn't matter. And the only reason Shake Milton or whoever else was in there scoring 20 points is because other guys were out. Shake, Thibault, Springer, these guys have had their opportunities. Like DJ said earlier, they're not the guys. So the Sixers need some guys. They have to find a way to get some guys. And the Sixers need to be good with Joel Embiid on the floor. They need to be good in a playoff series with Joel Embiid. And yes, his numbers have taken a hit, but why? Because he doesn't have the other guys that step up consistently. And even I had some questions about Maxey. Can he be the second guy in a playoff series for 7 games? I think we've seen that waver a little bit this season. We know what Tobias Harris is going to do. So My thing is you have to be healthy, but you need some players around them. And like you said earlier, when I look at the bench, am I expecting these guys to come in and produce in a series against Boston? I don't know. I think there's a lot of issues that are just kind of under the surface. But when we get to that point, we're going to be like, damn, should have done more.
Well, I think it doesn't matter because you need Embiid to win, like you said, in the playoffs. If Joel's out, you're done anyway. But if Joel's out for 2 months right now, do we even make the playoffs? Are we like, we can't beat the Portland Trailblazers without Joel Embiid.
Or Maxey in that game.
That's true. Or Max.
Yeah,
did drop 50 on the Pacers. But yeah, we're playing without, 3 or 4 guys. But that too, they're all 35 years old with nagging hamstrings and knees.
Yeah.
Like if this team doesn't get healthy, are we in the play-in tournament?
I mean, quick point about Embiid and kind of dealing with him. For starters, there's obviously like different circumstances with Joel than your normal star. For starters, I think it's more important to have those innings eater type guys that when he's not there, that can carry you to a win. And I do think this team lacks it. That when you look at the bottom half of this bench, it's kind of like variations of the same player. When you look at Kelly Oubre, Daniel House, Jaden Springer, you can kind of go down the list. KJ Martin, of guys that are, athletic, have some energy, but don't really have the skill set that you need to elevate your team. And the other point that I wanted to bring up is like, what is the best version of Joel Embiid as a basketball player? That we've seen this guy that is leading the league in scoring for the 3rd consecutive season. There's a part of me that really thinks like to maximize his game as it pertains to winning, maybe it is scaling back the offense a little bit where he is more dominant defensively, more dominant on the boards, where he still gets his. Maybe he switches to like a 20, 15, and 5 guy rather than a 35, 10, and 6 the way he's averaging right now. Like maybe if you put the ball in other guys' hands, and that obviously comes with bringing in another offensive talent to allow that to happen, a Zach LaVine to Dejounte Murray, I think there's a chance that like a key to getting past the second round could be reducing how much is really on, that he can't be the guy that is leading the league in usage the way that he currently is. Like, I think that maybe that should be reevaluated to a point where it fully hasn't to this point.
Yeah, I think when Embiid's healthy, sorry, Rob, 1 second. When Embiid's healthy and everybody around him is healthy and he has those shooters and shot creators, he's like a 30, 10, and 10 guy. He's a 30-point triple-double guy. And I think that's what you're saying. Like maybe that's the style of Embiid that we need to win.
Right.
Yeah, yesterday he was so passive, really passive in the first half, and he could have had like 5 assists if they just made open looks. I loved how he was playing yesterday, but a lot of it had to do with him being injured. His first half was really underrated in my opinion. He was just missing shots, and he also couldn't move, but he was really getting guys involved and really passing more than he usually does. And I think if he can mix that up with his aggressive style when he's actually healthy, it'll be all good. But RB, I'm gonna make you feel good right quick. I'm gonna make you feel good. I don't know why you're complaining. This is my question to all Sixers fans. Unless it's a season-ending injury, this is what we wanted. This is, I'm telling you, we are going to get Embiid rested now. He's forced to rest because it actually seems like it's a major or kind of major injury. So now he's going to take 2 months off. We're not going to fall that deep into the standings. I'll tell you why. Because we're 3-9 without Embiid, but a lot of those games were on the road against top competition. Plus, the deadline soon. We're going to bring in another shot creator, and that's going to help. And I believe the Sixers will start winning probably 500, and they'll be around the 6th seed. So that injury yesterday, it's a blessing because now he's not going to do this thing where, okay, I'm going to try to play, and then it's just going to be rinse and repeat. If he got through that game, it would have been rinse and repeat, and then eventually he would have got major injury. But now it's happening already, and hopefully it forces him to stay out a couple months, and then he'll come back and be refreshed for the playoffs. That's what everyone wanted. That's what everyone told me. The regular season doesn't matter, this and that. You're getting that now. You're getting it, RB.
Do we think Embiid is still chasing this MVP? Do we think he's forcing these games because he's trying to make the 65-game cutoff? Because he's the one that said, I don't care about MVP anymore. I want to win championships. And I see him playing in this game, and I'm like, why is he playing in this game? I can't figure it out. And people are like, he wants to win MVP again.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think his mindset was he came into the season, said, I don't care. I already got it. And then all of a sudden he started playing at a historically great level and was like, dude, I'm running away with this. I can actually win this. And that's when he kind of put his foot on the gas because he did miss some games early on. And then he kind of flipped gears and started playing at a more regular rate. But kind of the beauty of what Romp is speaking to here is the decision's now out of his hands, that like he's going to have to miss too many games to even have a chance at it, that it's now like the situation is what it is. There's no point in going for it. And the whole goal is a championship, which it should have been from the beginning.
Why was the decisions in his hands anyway? When did we?
Great question.
I don't understand when this started, where an athlete's allowed to play clearly injured. I don't understand. What was it? Isn't it the medical staff that says no, you're not playing? I don't get it.
No, I agree.
The Embiid stuff's weird because like their routine is that he's the last guy to warm up before a game, and they go through the warm up, and it's like collaborative in the way that Embiid checks in on how he's feeling, that the training staff takes a look at him, and the decision is made. That's why it's so frustrating that we don't know until last minute on a just about every game basis. But my kind of concern is like, if this is how he looked against the Warriors and they cleared him to play, like how in the world was he looking against the Nuggets, which they put their foot down and said, like, you look that bad? Because from what he looked like last night, he had zero business being on a basketball court. And the fact that like to the Sixers management of this as a whole has been so frustrating that like they should be the adults in the room that say like, we can't put you in harm's way this way, that we can't let you step out there and risk yourself and our team by allowing you to suit up. So it's very frustrating. That should never happen again. And I would like from here on forward for the Sixers to have more of a stronghold in that entire decision process.
You know what it is? I just thought of what it is. In the beginning of Joel's career, Josh Harris was there, and he was really invested in Joel Embiid, and he was like, we're not injuring this guy. This is how I'm going to triple the profit of this investment that I just made. And now Josh Harris doesn't care about the Sixers, so he's not there. So there's no management, so there's nobody saying no to Joel playing.
Well, I want to respond to what Romp said, because he did a lot of wishing in that statement, and it's just funny how the tides turn, man. Because Romp is one of the most negative Sixers people I know, and he's listing off these things that are going to happen, when in reality, I haven't heard one link of a rumor to Philadelphia. So until it happens, I can't buy in. And to the point about Joel Embiid playing, which I thought we were going to get to a half hour ago, but this has been a great convo so far. We got a ton of super chats to get to. It's because of people that were out there putting these bullshit narratives in front of the media. Like, oh my God, Joel Embiid is ducking Nikola Jokic. Joel Embiid is ducking Denver. Joel Embiid doesn't do this or that or that or this. And Joel already feels the incline pressure like, damn, if I miss a game, we're not winning. And then in addition to that, he's like, well, maybe I do want the award. Maybe I don't, but maybe I just want people to respect me. Because Joel Embiid doesn't get any respect outside of the Philly market. Even people within the Philly market are discrediting him, which is unreal because he's had one of the best seasons in history. So honestly, we have part of ourselves to blame. We have part of other media to blame who are not doing the due diligence. And part of it is just the Sixers team is not that good without Joel Embiid. And we've seen this year in and year out. You take Joel Embiid off this team, it is a lottery team.
Oh yeah,
maybe
a 10 seed.
If Joel cares that much about what people are saying on the internet or in the media, then he's treading in Kevin Durant waters.
But he always kind of has. Like that's been Joel. Like
it's the new age, man.
He's reeled it back from when. Like this is the same dude that was tweeting at Kim Kardashian, Rihanna before he ever played an NBA game. That this was the same dude that would dunk on Karl Anthony Towns and then tag him in the photo on Instagram. Like that. This is still the same Joel Embiid. I get he's a couple years obviously more mature and that he's clearly progressed as a player, but that's still in him to an extent. That he is one of the more online personalities. Again, he has reeled it in, but he loves to troll and he absolutely hears the noise in a way that might be impacting him in a pretty negative way.
We are in a day and age where guys go on social media at halftime of games. This happens. They read messages. They use it as fuel. They get fired up. Like, unfortunately, this is just the day and age that we are in. And I hate it, but it is true. Like, Joel reads everything. He absolutely reads everything. Yeah. And he always puts some kind of troll into whatever he does. And it's frustrating.
And that's the main issue with Joel Embiid. Unfortunately, he's got loser tendencies. I'll take you back to the Pacers game where he was stat padding during the injury, RB. And he further
why'd you want him to play the next game?
He
So
needed
why-
that 30-point streak still.
Because I wanted him to play the next game in Denver because
Hurt.
he was stat padding and he
Injured.
wasn't on the injury report.
Yeah.
He was
That's
injured.
why.
He couldn't jump. His knee was swollen.
Why would you not put him on the injury report then?
I
agree. The medical staff mishandled the whole situation. Somebody's got to be fired, especially
But
for
Joel,
allowing him to play.
you're excusing Joel though.
Any competitor wants to go out and play a game. Any competitor.
Yeah, but this
deep
dude
down
is
wants to play.
He's 29 and he cares what nobody's on Twitter think of him. He's got a hot wife. He's got a kid. And he cares about what Baldy in Denver is saying. Come on now. What are we doing here?
Wait, who's Baldy in Denver?
I don't know, HP or whatever that dude is. I think he's bald. I don't know. But like, why are he might be listening to me because I called Joel Embiid out. And the fact that if Joel Embiid's ever listening to me, I'm in my mom's basement. Come on now.
You called Joel Embiid out. Yeah, you wanted him to play. You're the one saying that he needs to rest to the playoffs, but you wanted him to play a meaningless regular season game that would have done more damage.
I wanted him.
It would have done more.
The reason I wanted him to play is because he was clearly stat padding, playing through an injury. That's why I wanted him to play in Denver.
I do hope the Sixers find a second round pick for that, just because it'll add to all of the other times we've been fined for second round picks. And I think we lead history in like tampering and other things like that. And at least we can win something. You know, we can be the champion of tampering and breaking NBA rules and losing second round picks for it. But yeah, Joel's out there.
Sean go.
Sean disappeared. Joel's out there. So Joel's out there playing with an injured knee on national television because Jokic stands 6'9", 6'9", 6'9" on Twitter. Is calling him a choker or whatever, ducking the smoke. That's crazy.
He played because he's a competitor that wants to play and he wants to help the team out. And it was even reported today that there's scrutiny, whether it's in the organization or whatever, like noise goes around. And Joel doesn't just want to say, oh, I'm a ducker, I'm going to duck the smoke, whatever. He wants to go out there and play and give it his all. Fact of the matter is you're hurt, though. Like, you can't play. And somebody on the medical staff above Joel Embiid should not have let him go out on the floor. The same way they didn't let him go out on Saturday. They should have said, sit down. You try to block somebody and you fall down. Your knee gives out. You can't go. But unfortunately, a lot of people keep pushing this. Oh, well, you know, he's not as good as whoever, or he's got to win this award or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. We're trying to win the playoffs.
I think I'm more with RB on this, that the player's always going to want to play. And, you know, there's stories of Allen Iverson. They used to take his shoes and take his jersey and force him to not play. And there's a story that he sent an equipment ball boy around the corner to a Foot Locker and bought more shoes, and they still, you know, wouldn't let him play. They needed to do something to keep Joel Embiid off the court when he was clearly just, I mean, his knee buckled trying to block a shot. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I do think there's a point, like, beyond just like the chirps and the critiques and the criticism, all those, like, I think inside Joel Embiid that he wants to break the narrative of him being this injury-prone player that can't play. Like, he wants to, beyond just hitting the 65 number, like, prove that he can be an every-night guy and help the team on an every-night guy. And maybe he just watched his team lose 3 games in a row and wants to help the Sixers win a game. Like, I think there are, like, more legitimate reasons that motivate him to want to get on the court than just him being, like, you know, hearing the noise and all these kind of things. But I absolutely agree that it's the responsibility of the team to put an end to that it is them to step in and make that decision and be the adults in the room. Say that we're not allowing you to put yourself in harm's way because it's only bad for both you and us if that is the case.
Yeah, I agree. Let me get to some more of these super chats because we're a little bit behind on them. Shout out to D-Trex's trade Tobias and picks for Grant and Brogdon. Jay Ab says, imagine if Ben was to come back next season. Don't think that would happen.
I'm out. I'm quitting. I'm deleting my YouTube channel.
That would be a great way to make some content, man. That would be nuts.
Great views.
Honestly. Jay Ab says, trying to clean up Elton Brand's mess he made before Morey is ridiculous. Man, we're supposed to have a championship by now. I agree with that. And then Roddy said Embiid is T-Mac 2.0, Hall of Fame talent with horrific luck in the postseason. I was a big fan in the past. I'm done with the abuse, fellas. Joe is cooked. Wake up.
Hey, Mr. Rudy, who traded Tracy McGrady? Daryl Morey did.
I don't know, man. I feel like Daryl is so not obsessed, but like he feels like he's so close to a championship, and he knows he's getting up there, and he's never won. So it's like, does he really want to start that process over? You know, it's kind of tough, but
yeah.
Let's see. We got Nick. He says, any chance the Sixers can land DeMar DeRozan? Also, a question for Eastwood. If you had Doc on your show, what's one question you would ask him?
Can you please get off my show? Never in a million years. I would ask him to just give me a motivational speech real quick, and he would say, "Come on, guys, come on. This is what you want to do. It's on you."
He'd give you a long, sophisticated answer, and you'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?" But DeMar DeRozan, yeah, I actually think that's more realistic than people may give it credit for, because he's on a contract year, and unless he wants to be part of a rebuild, why not move off DeRozan if you're Chicago, right? LaVine's hard to move, but why not move off DeRozan? Try to get some picks or something at least. And honestly, DeMar may be able to take the rock for Maxey in a lot of different situations. So
do you not have to move off Tobias though to bring DeRozan in? Are they not both kind of inside the 3-point line wing players?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that would have to be a Tobias swap, and frankly, I would do that. That I think DeRozan's a killer in a way that Tobias just isn't. That DeRozan will get you a bucket down the stretch in a way that like Toby just doesn't and never has and never will. So I do think that's an upgrade, and I think that's something Chicago would potentially consider. I do think DeRozan's been a name that hasn't got as much buzz as it probably should. I like his game, and he's on a 1-year deal as well. So that's something that appeals to Morey for sure.
I'll take him over Tobias because he can actually run a unit and pass the rock without getting it deflected pretty much every single time or throwing it above their head.
Bernard says, no team has won the finals with a player averaging 30 points per game in the regular season since MJ in 95. Morey has set us back 5 years by messing with James Harden. What do you guys think about that? I mean, it's been tough. Like you don't have a lot of dominoes, right? Like you don't have a lot of pieces to kind of play with. So, you know, we can always go through the history, but I just think you're in a tough situation regardless. You're trying to win around Embiid every year.
Are we done with the Embiid injury thing? Because I still have a thing in my head that I want to get off my chest.
Let it rip.
So I just feel like everyone's putting it on the team staff, and I think Joel Embiid deserves as much criticism for what took place this week. He supposedly said, don't put him on the injury report or whatever. Sure. Like he clearly has a lot of power in this organization. I mean, he doesn't sit on the bench with his teammates when he's out. He can do whatever he wants. And ultimately, if you watch Nick Nurse's press conference yesterday, every single answer, he said, it's on the medical staff or whatever, and Joel Embiid. And he also said during the game, Joel Embiid told him he was fine. Before the game, he told him he was fine. Joel Embiid, he's a big part of the decision for him to play. And for him to, have that responsibility, he deserves blame for when he goes out there and looks like he's injured. And also, he's not doing the little things when he's out there when he's injured. So it's like you're hurting the team by trying to be Superman. So even though it's not selfish, it kind of is. You know what I'm saying?
But this is where I think Joel gets painted in the corner. For starters, I don't think this is unique to Joel, that I think stars across the league kind of have pull like that every player has a little bit of. Like Giannis could do that. Jokic could do that. I think obviously Embiid, it's more prominent because he does have more legitimate injury issues that pop up on a regular basis. I think all stars kind of have that sort of voice in their organization. And for Embiid specifically, I think he gets painted in the corner where if he doesn't play, he gets called soft. if he does play, that people like question why are you even out there in a way that like sucks for him as a human being and isn't beneficial to anyone. And like we can bring this back to like the toxic online stuff, the media figures, all this thing. But I feel like Joel is in a lose-lose in that kind of spot.
And I want to add 2 points onto that. And here's where I have an issue with what you're saying, Romp. And look, shout out to everybody here. We got 600 people and, chat's going off. You guys are awesome, man. Thank you for being here. Here's where I have an issue. Double standards, right? Number one, we look at last year. All of us sat up here and made videos. We were pulling our hair out. We were frustrated. This team was minutes away from the conference finals. And what did we say? Who gives a crap about the regular season? We want to see it in the playoffs. The numbers have dropped. Things have been embarrassed. Like, we want to see it in the playoffs. So why do we care about a regular season game at this point? Like, we're too far in the tenure to be worrying about this crap. We need to see it in April, May, June. And the other issue I have is kind of what Sean alluded to. What did we say 5 years ago? Damn, Embiid's hurt. He's never playing. He's not going to play more than 40 games in a year. This guy's soft. This guy's never going to do it. And now we're trying to clown him for actually suiting up and trying to play through an injury. And he's obviously injured and he has to bear so much burden from this team because they don't have the other pieces. If Joel sits out, this looks like a completely different team. So my issue is like, which way do you want to go on the pendulum? You know what I mean? Where do we go? Like, it's a lose-lose situation. Whatever he does, somehow he's going to get criticized. And at that point, why do you have a medical staff? If you're going to put the guy at risk and he can't even jump, why have a medical staff? That's their job. Somebody's got to keep him in check. I'm not saying Embiid has no blame. He should have sat down himself at some point, but somebody's got to get in his ear because then we're speaking to a higher organizational issue. Just how they never told Ben Simmons to shoot a damn basketball. Somebody's got to get in his ear. Yo, sit the hell down before you get hurt even more. And guess what? He did, unfortunately.
Yeah, we need to not care about the criticism, because if we get to the playoffs and he's healthy and we win the whole thing, who cares about the credit? That should be the whole thing. Like, let's just get healthy and go to the play. What do we care about this criticism for? You know what I mean? Like, he's going to get criticized either way. Yeah. Are we still on this
that level?
Are we still responding to this super chat, by the way? Because I want to say something. This no team has won the finals with a player averaging 30 points per game in this regular season since MJ in 95 and 96. Stats like this are so nitpicky to me because we're like, what did Shaq average when they won with the Lakers and Kobe 28.9 points per game? You know what I mean? Like, okay, 30, 29. And I think Embiid, when he's healthy, is good enough to win the way that MJ did and the way that Shaq did and the way that some other guys did. So, I don't think that's a stat that makes you say you shouldn't have a guy averaging 30 points per game in the regular season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
I have a request.
Go ahead, Romp.
I have a request for Joel Embiid. It's the only way we're going to get over the top. He has to delete social media. He cares way too much. He should not look at that. If I was an athlete, I would not look at that because it just adds unneeded pressure. And he definitely looks at it way too much because he's always mentioning social media type things. Yeah. And I'm telling you, that's a flaw in him. It's just not good. He shouldn't care about that stuff at 29 years old. It's cool. It's fun when he's trolling and things like that, but it's just unnecessary pressure. So we got to somehow like hack his phone or something.
Or win. Winning cures all. I mean,
winning cures all.
You don't win it until you get it done, right? Like other guys, even Jokic, Giannis, like they went through the same types of things, but their front offices gave them a complementary team. They gave them a well-fitting team and they got the job done. Sixers need to do the same thing.
So what did we hear about his injury? Nothing yet?
The latest report is that they're going to get further evaluation done tomorrow in Philly. Now, I guess we can kind of dive into it, like more specific trade talk, but that doesn't make me feel good. Like, yeah, I think Joel Embiid is going to come back this season. I don't think it's going to be a season-ending injury, but it's like, what does this team need to get over the top? Because I personally feel, maybe you guys don't agree, but the Sixers that we saw to begin the season are not the same Sixers we're seeing right now. And I know they're banged up and they're hurt, but can we really rely on DeAnthony Melton to stay healthy? He's been out for what, 3-4 weeks? Covington doesn't seem to be utilized. Tobias, we know what's going on there. Maxey's got a sprained ankle. All I'm saying is, like, we have some issues to address, and you got to kind of take a gamble in a way. Like, where do you go from here? Where do you go?
Yeah. I think they're more than just a role player upgrade away from being championship title threats. That they're a guy away. They need another creator, another like X factor type player in the Dejounte Murray type category, or Zach LaVine type category, or that level of player, not just in Alex Caruso or Bogdanovich. And while those are good players, like those are helpful players, Tyus Jones, guys like that are being tossed around, like that doesn't change the ceiling of this team in the way that I think needs to happen. And my concern is Daryl Morey thinks that is the case. So I want them to take this big swing, and I'm not confident that it happens.
Is Malcolm Brogdon one of those guys for you, Sean? Where does Sean go?
I think he's lagging a bit, but I'll answer it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a perfect guy that could help this team out. But do you think the Sixers would actually go out and get him?
Well, I always go back and forth with Daryl Morey. You know, I don't know if he. I'm on such different ends of the spectrum at the same time with Daryl Morey. He's either a really good GM that's done a great job at flipping franchises without tanking, or he just got really lucky by trading for James Harden, and he really has no idea what he's doing and doesn't even know who players like Malcolm Brogdon is. Remember when he called the Kings offer for Ben Simmons on the radio? He said, Sixers fans want me to trade him for a bunch of random players. And we were like, no, we're talking about Tyrese Halliburton. And if that's who you're talking about and you called him a random player, then what's going on here?
I hear you, man. Roddy with a $5 super chat says, Embiid can sit the whole regular season and get injured in the first playoff series. He is brittle. Physicality is too much for him to handle. I mean, you know.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, history has shown. Top Shot Tesla says, y'all can see Embiid was hurt. So could Nurse. Got to pull him. This isn't a bum finger. This is a big man's knee. Can't let narratives run the franchise. I agree.
Is he brittle, or is he just unlucky? Are these just not like ticky-tack freak little, like banging knees together? That can happen to anyone, but it ends up happening to Joel Embiid, you know? And then he tries to play through it, but there's knee swelling, and they should have sat him down right away until he was 100%. But he's chasing whatever, 30-point scoring streak or the MVP or whatever. But I don't know. Is injury prone? Does injury prone have to do with your body, or is it just you're injury prone because you're like unluckier than everyone else, and just injuries just happen to this guy? I mean, he got shouldered in the face by Markelle Fultz one time. Like, there's stuff that doesn't happen to other players.
And Siakam.
And like, Siakam elbow is another one. Like that just sucks. That's not like a conditioning thing. That's not a preparedness thing. That's just straight up unlucky. And like, as much as we like, it ultimately depends that he is healthy for a playoff stretch. But there is an element of luck that is involved in that you just kind of got to hope that things break the right way and he doesn't get one of these dumb like injuries, knocks, whatever you want to call them, at the wrong time. And some of that is just kind of blindly hoping that is the case.
It is frustrating, man. All right, let's go around it and shout out to everybody in the chat. Get active in there. Let us know you're in there. Drop a like. We're going to take some calls in a little while, but I want to go around and I want to ask each of you guys to give me your top need. Like, if you could just categorize, not a player. I mean, you can if you want, but like, all right, here's what the Sixers need. Number one on the list. What do they need most? And anybody feel free to take the floor.
Yeah, I can
shot
jump
maker.
in. Go ahead, Romp. Shot maker?
Shot maker, shot creator. Someone who could dribble more than one time while also being able to make a pass. I would say Bogdanovich from the Hawks, realistically. And then Caruso.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my top would probably be volume 3-point shooter. That probably my top three is volume 3-point shooter number one, some sort of competent wing defender number three, and a ball handler number two, and a ball handler number three. And the ideal world is a player that checks a couple of those boxes. A guy that I'll throw in the mix that we haven't mentioned yet would be Bojan Bogdanovic of the Pistons there. It's another guy that is willing to absolutely just let it rip from beyond the arc and at least has some sort of resistance defensively. That he's well past his prime, but there was a point in time where he was pretty competitive on the defensive side of the ball and would hang with some bigger stars of the league. So Bojan's a guy that I could see for the taking, and I'll throw that in the mix as well.
I think my biggest need for the Sixers is a secondary ball handler, creator. I guess Romp said creator, but when Maxey's not on the floor, there's just not a consistent point guard who can really hold his own. You'll get those Patrick Beverley games where he drops 26 on the Celtics, but he's just more of a fiery energy guy than really a point guard that you want to have to be relying on. And if Tyrese Maxey's your only point guard on the whole roster, that's kind of crazy too, because he's just transitioning into becoming a point guard. And the perfect player is Malcolm Brogdon. That's the perfect player. Big, strong, physical, experienced, more of a facilitator than a scorer, but can be a scorer when he wants to. It's why I kind of like him over Dejounte Murray, because I think he doesn't take the ball out of Maxey's hands quite as much as Dejounte Murray. I just like the guy. He doesn't even make a facial expression, dude. He looks like Andre Miller and Kawhi Leonard combined, and he just plays ball, doesn't say a word. And I think that's the kind of guy the Sixers need. And the second thing is they need a big body rebounder. They need anybody better than Mo Bamba, which is anybody that's on any league in any country in the world. There has to be a 7-foot whatever that is better than Mo Bamba at playing defense. Taze Moore, that's his name, end of Portland's bench. Euro step lefty finger roll right in Mo Bamba's face. The guy can't guard the worst player in the NBA.
Well, you guys mentioned most of mine, but I'm going to throw one out there that nobody said. I think the Sixers need a lockdown defender, perimeter lockdown defender. DeAnthony Melton is not reliable. I'm sorry. Even when he's in, do you trust DeAnthony Melton to go out there and stick, I don't know, Jason Tatum in a playoff series? No. Jaylen Brown, I don't know, Giannis, or whoever he's put on for, a couple possessions. I'm not comfortable with that. And even a couple months ago, I threw out a Matisse Thybulle as a name, not because I like Thybulle's game, but just Sixers need that spot defender. And I know everybody's response to that is, well, they should get Rocco in there. Yeah, they should. I mean, he looked fine, but can he hold up offensively? I don't know. So it's probably going to have to be a guy that's able to shoot. But I like all the things that you guys said. My dream target would be Lauri Markkanen, because if you could put a plant next to Embiid that can not only get a little bit off the dribble, but can rebound. The Sixers need a consistent 8 to 10 rebounds per game next to Joel, a guy to take off pressure who can crash the glass, almost like how Aaron Gordon compliments Jokic, and the Sixers just have never had it. Unfortunately, Tobias does not have that in his game, and it's going to come back to bite us in the playoffs. That's how I feel.
I got you for one, RB. Torrey Craig. Super cheap, great rebounder. Can, go against Jason Tatum, hustle guy. I'm pretty sure he shot like 38% from three the last 2 years. Solid 3-point shooter. Very underrated target. Easily should be on the Sixers after the deadline. It would be silly not to go for him. And also Kyle Lowry. I mean, he had an underrated playoffs last year. He's kind of washed, but I think he would get motivated since Nick Nurse and him have a history. Plus, he's from Philly. He had 101 assists in the playoffs last year, and he was low-key their second-best player versus the Knicks. He averaged like 12 points a game, and he had like 5 assists per game. He was really good in the playoffs last year for the Heat. I don't know if he'll be good in the playoffs for us, but I think he'll help in the regular season, and he would easily be our best point guard on the roster right away. Easily. In terms of pure point guard, he would be better than Maxey in terms of, getting guys shots and getting to his spot. So yeah, that would be an upgrade, and it seems like they're going in that direction for sure. So I threw that out there because it seems like a done deal.
Yeah, I think Lowry's very realistic because you're also, you don't have to give up any assets to get him, Right. So if you don't want to give up any assets, you should at least make that move.
Yeah.
Are you guys comfortable with Tyrese Maxey? Say the Sixers get into a second-round playoff series. We know what Joel's going to do. Sure, he's going to see a lot of doubles and triples. Are you confident right now at this point in time in saying, Tyrese, go give us 28 a night in a playoff series. Like, go get it. If the answer is no, then I agree. We need another guy in here. And I would honestly move Melton to the bench, which I've said all year. I would even think about bringing Oubre off the bench. Ever since he came back from his accident, hasn't been the same, but he was almost a little bit more efficient on the bench. So, yeah, I think another ball handler is very necessary with this team.
Yeah, I think my concern with Maxey specifically is it's a lot on his plate from both the playmaking and scoring standpoint that I think like asking him to do both in a playoff series is a tough ask. And that's why this conversation for bringing in another ball handler would help this team a ton. Like, I think there's moments where he kind of has trouble walking that line of what's my role? Am I playmaking? Am I running the offense? Or am I just getting buckets? Because he's capable of doing either. And frankly, I've been really impressed with his growth as a playmaker this year. But there's also moments where he's elite enough to be a floor spacer, a catch and shoot 3-point guy, or a guy that shoots off movement, running off pin downs, things like that. Those are ways where he should be used. And they aren't able to do that all the time because he also has to play make and do these things. So having another ball handler, a guy that can just take a little off his shoulders, I think would be huge for him and really increase my optimism that he gets it done in the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think Maxey's comfortable spot is a 2-guard combo role, and he can run the 2-man game with Embiid, and he can be a playmaker. But I'm just starting to see, in this beginning of this season, I was like, Tyrese Maxey point guard. We don't need James Harden. We don't need a facilitator. But I'm starting to see that it's just his more comfortable role is being a scorer and being able to play make secondary to that. And my boy Allen Iverson was drafted as a point guard. And then they got Eric Snow up in there, and Iverson went crazy.
Yeah. And by the way, that's part of what makes Maxey dangerous is that he can do both. He can do all these things. And when we talk about like the 2-man combos, there's like an unpredictability in the Maxey Embiid duo that I think makes him more dangerous than any combo of 2-man partner that Embiid has had. That when you talk about James Harden, and of course the numbers were off the charts, but it was so predictable in what they were going to do that it was the pick and roll, it was that little pocket pass, or it was Harden getting the switch and taking the big man and taking a step back 3, or like you knew what the options were. With Maxey, it's like he can move off ball, pop to the corner, get a pass back from Embiid, or maybe it's a true pick and pop, or he just takes it himself. His finishing ability is so much better than James Harden. So there's more variations that you can bring with the 2-man game, but I would like to see a little more cohesive, just 5-man basketball that is built off this in a way that other guys are included. And once again, this circles back to more firepower, more guys, and more just, I guess, a well-rounded offensive approach rather than being purely reliant on that.
Yeah, I've been saying for years the Sixers need a dog, like an actual dog, and that's Patrick Beverley. He's lived up to every bit of that. And I've also said they need a bucket getter. And if it's not going to be Malcolm Brogdon, who I think would be a perfect fit, can facilitate, can defend. People were saying he can't defend anymore. He's washed. He had like 3 steals in the first quarter the other night. Even a guy like Jordan Clarkson, I've said in prior years, would be a great microwave scorer. Just somebody like that to be able to come in. Because when the Sixers get to the playoffs, I think they're going to need to go about 7 deep, maybe 8 deep, and they're going to need that guy. Like, I don't think Morris is that guy. I don't think Beverly's that microwave scorer in the playoffs. Like, that hook shot can only survive long enough. So it's like, you're going to need a guy. And, look at all these other good playoff teams. They have the guy. If Tatum's not on, guess what? Here comes Derek White, right? How about Miami? Tyler Hero, like almost somebody like that, I think would be perfect for the Sixers. The question is there one out there, and can they get them? So
I think the Celtics are like the only team that has like crazy role guys that can consistently give you like insane games. Like, well, let's not fool ourselves. We have what we need. We need Maxey and Embiid to have a crazy playoffs, and if they don't, we're gonna lose. Yes, you can make additions, you can make a trade, whatever. But the reality is, unless you're lucky, like the Boston Celtics, or not lucky, just good GMing, you're going to have to rely on your 2 best players. And you're going to have to put guys who fit their style perfectly, like Nick Batum. Does Nick Batum put up 8 points? No, but he affects the game in such a positive way when everyone's healthy that he's one of our best role players. Tobias is a terrible fit next to Joel Embiid and Maxey consistently because he is not consistent, and he also needs the rock as well to get going. But when we do get a good Tobias, we see a completely different team. So it's like, okay, you look at Denver, MPJ, perfect fit next to Murray and Jokic. So you're going to get better game. You're going to get more consistency out of MPJ than you do with Tobias, because Tobias doesn't fit well with the style of Embiid and Maxey, if that makes sense. So I don't know. It's like we have Maxey and Embiid. That's what's going to get you to the title. It's about, getting other role players. I don't think you necessarily need a star. And if you want a star, I think you have to ask yourself, is Embiid really that guy? Is Maxey really that guy? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. All right, J Abs, $5 super chat. We got to look at the 2020 and 21 team and look and study how that was our best year in team, best squad and everything. Only flaw was Doc Rivers. And then a fine edition says, can we please get KJ Martin and Daniel House off this team? They're so terrible. I think Morey needs to go for Andrew Wiggins, a.k.a. the Tatum stopper. What do you think about Andrew Wiggins? Dive into Golden State. They might blow it up. I think they should, but people don't agree with me on that. So
you think they should blow it up? Like not try to quick rebuild around Steph? You mean like blow it up?
You keep Steph. I think he deserves that. I think he deserves the call on that if he wants to be with Golden State his whole career. But I mean, I would honestly like take a whole reshape. I would get rid of Draymond. That'd be my first move because I think he's a distraction. I don't know if Clay still has the same. I even said, what if Clay came to the Sixers? What if he rejuvenated himself?
I'm all on that. On that.
I would
underrated, bro.
Let's get Lowry, Klay Thompson, and then all those two and Joel Embiid can all miss half of every playoff series.
Here we go.
Bro, Clay since December is averaging 20 points on 40+% 3-point shooting on high volume. He's underrated.
Well, people don't realize how much it takes to come back from an ACL injury, especially when you get into your mid-30s, man. And like it can take you 2 full years to look like yourself. So the people that say Klay Thompson's washed, he's never really had like a full-on 3-level combo game. He's a catch and shoot player, and it should be possible for him to get back to that. He should be able to do that until he's 40, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And he would get like 15 3-point attempts a game next to Joel Embiid. That think about how good the JJ Redicks, the Seth Currys of the world, the Georges Niangs of the world look playing next to Embiid. Picture a shooter with like the combination of volume and efficiency of a guy like Klay Thompson. That would be unbelievable. Like if Golden State's remotely thinking about that, Sixers should be the first ones on the phone. Take a nice gently used Tobias Harris for that.
I'm sorry, the chat is stupid right now. Like beyond stupid. You're saying no to Klay Thompson. Do you realize you guys love Seth Curry and JJ Redick? That's
Dude,
literally
Sixers fans would trade a first-round pick for TJ McConnell right now.
Listen, Romp, I'll tell you this. Like, I've been reading the chat a lot during this show. Like, any player that we bring up is a no because they want Jaden Springer on the team. They want the 2056 first-round pick. Like, these people think that, like, you have to get something and give nothing up. Like they want to keep every guy on the roster. Like that's not how it works.
They're like, listen, Furkan and 2 seconds for Paul George. Okay.
You remember when Gary Payton got traded for 5 second-round picks on deadline day? We're Gary Payton the third. I mean, come on, man. You got to give something up. And, like you're going to have to get a player if you think this team needs improvements. And you can't just say no to every single player, but then you want the world,
Yeah. And you're not getting
Also,
anything
Klay,
for the end of this bench. They're all bad. You're not getting anything for Springer and KJ Martin and Mo Bamba.
Also, Klay gets guarded like he's prime Klay Thompson still. He could go 0 for 10 and teams still face guard him, respect him like he's a sharpshooter. And I don't think we'll get him this year, but I mean, there was like a quote last week where he was like, I'm still prime. I'm still in my prime. I believe I can, keep playing well. And it seems like Golden State doesn't want to pay him. So the Sixers, looking at the free agency class, Klay Thompson seems like a target for Morey, in my opinion. We're going to have to overpay to get him, but you're going to have to overpay anyone to come to Philadelphia. And the fact is, this free agency is dog doo-doo. And besides LeBron, it's like, who else is out there? Like, who else is Morey looking at? And I'm looking at Klay Thompson. I'm like, okay, Klay next to Maxey and Embiid's 2-man game.
I like
it's risky because he's old and injured, but he fits perfectly. MPJ like.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Shout out to, where did this go? Oh yeah, Frank with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate you, man. And then guys, call into the show, man. We'll take some calls. 508-924-3784. I got some more questions. Cammy says, thoughts on Tyus Jones, trading for him and then starting him. What do we think about Tyus Jones? Is he attainable? I don't know what the Wizards are doing. I don't know if you guys think positively, say like a Kyle Kuzma, Tyus Jones type thing. I would love Corey Kispert on the bench, but they got some guys.
Kyle Kuzma is another one that everybody says no to, and I'm like, what?
He's a good rebounder. Like,
what if you could get him to Tobias? What if
he's a big dude with a 3-level offensive game?
Would you guys trade Tobias and get Kuzma next to Joel?
Yeah, and I would give up 2 picks as well.
I think you can get him for 1, but either way, yes, I will. People came at me on Twitter because I said Kyle Kuzma's clearly a better basketball player than Tobias Harris. I mean, he just is. He has more size, more physicality. He can rebound better. He can. He is more of a combo game. He can create a shot better. I don't understand the Tobias love, first of all, in this fan base, but I don't understand the Kuzma hate unless people just see a couple highlights of him not caring in Washington or whatever.
By the way, that Tobias Harris 3-year, $45 million deal this offseason is going to be like an iron through the heart, man. Like, I can just see it now.
Come on, Sean. Come on, Sean.
Dude,
come on.
Just extending the 20-second back down into a turnaround fadeaway jumper for 8 years of my life. It's already been 5.
Assassin score.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really think that Daryl Morey thinks very highly of Tobias Harris, very highly, because this dude has gone like to the end of the ledge to defend Tobias in all of the controversy. I think he actually really believes in him as a basketball player. If not, why wouldn't he have traded him already? Why didn't he trade him in the offseason? Everybody sat here and was like, yo, trade Tobias. That's the first act of business. You handle the Harden thing separately. He said, nope, that went away.
I think the part of it is, I think Daryl Morey very much has the I want to win every deal mindset. And you're just not going to do that when trading Tobias Harris. That I don't think league-wide, the value that you're getting back from him, it's much more of a salary piece. Same thing with like Marcus Morris. Nobody's trading for Marcus Morris to get Marcus Morris on the team. You're trading to make $17 million match in this deal. I think Tobias falls in that category. And at the end of the day, he's still a starter on the Sixers team. So you have to replace the numbers that he is providing, which is still in that 16 to 17 point range. Still a guy that like does provide some sort of just production to this team. So I think Morey views it as, I'm not going to win a deal. I would rather not disrupt the locker room. And at least I get that $40 million off the books this offseason.
Derek says Kuzma has experience deep into the playoffs. I mean, that's definitely a good thing. You're going to need guys like that for sure, especially with how the Sixers have kind of crumpled, in prior years. We got some callers on the line. Before we go to the phones, though, I want to go around quickly and get from each of you. What do you think happens on trade deadline day? Like, you don't have to say like specific players. You can if you want, but like, do the Sixers make a big deal for a star? Do they get like a couple role players? Do they do nothing? What do we think is going to happen? DJ, we'll start with you.
I don't feel good about the trade deadline, but at the same time, they can't do nothing. You know what I mean? They just can't do nothing. They have to do something. I don't think it's going to be major, but I could see, Marcus Morris being gone. I could see KJ Martin being gone, which I'm absolutely blown away at a rumor that somebody's interested in KJ Martin, his basketball services. I don't know what he offers besides maybe one of those dunk competitions during a timeout. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's going to be like a smaller thing, but I mean, my perfect one that I think is realistic is still Malcolm Brogdon. I think it's not too big of a splash, but it's a guy that fits perfectly and gives you what you need. I would love the Dejounte Murray thing, but I don't think Daryl's going to do that. I don't think he's going to give up what the Hawks probably want for him or what other teams are offering for him. But I think something's going to happen, and I think you have to try to at least shore up some of the major holes that are in the bench of this team. Did I answer the question correctly?
You kind of answered it. I mean, you started off good, and then you were like, I feel like you were kind of getting into like.
Which, by the way,
you were getting
derailed by KJ Martin hate.
I'm gonna derail for about 30 more seconds. Okay, there's players in the NBA that get there strictly on athleticism and have no basketball skills at all. Every single one of them ends up on the Philadelphia 76ers somehow. I don't see these guys anywhere else in the league. These dudes can't dribble, can't shoot, can't pass, can't do anything except a 360 through the legs dunk during warmups. It blows my mind that we always end up with these guys. Because again, I'm seeing a guy named Taze Moore hit the cleanest Euro step finger roll I've ever seen. And I'm like, that's what NBA players are. They've been playing basketball their whole life. They can do basketball stuff. We always have all these guys that are just NFL defensive backs.
I would just ask one quick question to that. Do you also think part of it is that the Sixers don't have the developmental coaches that get these guys able to do more things? Like Thibault or Springer on another team. What about Isaiah Joe? I mean, these guys go elsewhere and they play.
Like, Isaiah Joe always who he is. He was that dude in a Sixers uniform too, and that Doc Rivers didn't play him.
Yeah, I used to say he has a dribble game. He has a little bit of playmaking. No, I think most of that stuff is stuff that you learn coming up, dude, in middle school, high school. You know, you develop that kind of game when you're very young. I don't think that's another thing too. I think we can draft these guys with super athleticism and we can teach them how to play basketball in the NBA when they're 22 years old. That's just getting to be. I'm getting tired of that too, because you don't teach guys how to play basketball when they're 22. If they don't have it, they don't have it. That's where I am with that. You can develop things. You can change a jump shot and things like that, but. You know, I'm over these guys that can do a backflip dunk and can't play basketball.
Romp, what's your prediction? What do you think happens February 8th before 3 p.m.? Give us a scoop.
I cooked up a mock trade deadline just now. So
one trade.
My first order I'm going all out, bro. My first order of business, I got Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, and then filler for Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie. And also we have to add picks there. But I was going to say, what's the filler? Because you guys, what did you say?
Don't they want? Isn't it like a thing that they want like 2 firsts for Finney-Smith?
Yes, and I'm giving them 2 firsts for Finney-Smith. I don't care about picks. I'm here to win a championship. And then I'm getting rid of Jaden Springer. See you later. Jaden Springer for Torrey Craig. You got Torrey Craig, great defender. Finney-Smith, great defender. 2 guys who can lock up Jaylen Brown and Tatum. And then they got Spencer Dinwiddie. He can score the rock. He's been trash on Brooklyn, but if you flash back in Dallas, he was very good when they made he was very good in Dallas in that 6-man type of role with less responsibility on ball next to Luka. So I think that's a low-key good deadline.
Sean?
All right, I'm going to go with 2 trades and 2 buyout guys. So there's a little bit of my combination of my brain and Daryl Morey's here for this prediction. The 2 trades, Bojan Bogdanovic and Malcolm Brogdon both come to the Sixers. You're dealing out some combination of Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Daniel House, and Furkan Korkmaz, along with the draft picks to make that work. And then the 2 buyout guys that bring in right from Daryl Morey's heart, Kyle Lowry and Danny Green making his return to the Sixers is my prediction.
Danny Green, no.
Still working out in the Sixers facility.
But again, if he ends up on the floor at any point, he's still better than KJ Martin.
He'll shoot it. He'll hit it.
Yeah, I loved how he went out that one year, dude. That dude was firing away. He was the only Sixer who was not scared.
Yeah.
So you're saying both of those things are possible? They add Brogdon and Bogdanovic via trade and sign Kyle Lowry?
I think that's doable. I think you can get all 3 of those. I think Bojan I'm much higher on than I think the perception of him that like I get he's 34 years old. Like, he's past the days where he was a complete gunner. But back in the Jazz days, like, he was the guy tasked with guarding Kevin Durant and guarding guys like that. He's not a zero defensively, and he's competitive. Like, he's a guy that competes on the defensive side of the floor. He's at least real deal like 6'7", and I think he's immediately the best shooter on this team, maybe outside of Maxey, maybe Melton if you want to look at that, but a much higher volume. So I like Bogdanovich quite a bit.
I think he dropped 30 on us in the Detroit game, one of those Detroit games this season.
Yeah, he's averaging over 20 per game this season.
What about Hayward as a buyout candidate?
I would love him. Yeah, as a buyout, absolutely. That would be like probably the best buyout that I've seen. Like,
that would be
years. Yeah.
He's better than Tobias, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so my optimistic side. All right, I'm going optimistic first, and I'll go realistic because I'm hoping you guys are getting me in the mood here. I'm trying to believe. All right, so I'm going to say the MRI comes back good. Daryl Morey's juiced up. And in my positive side, he makes a splash move out of nowhere at 2:47 p.m. He acquires Alex Caruso from the Bulls, and he gets Malcolm Brogdon. I think that's a dream deadline right there. They make it happen. But then my realistic side kicks in, and here's what I really think is going to happen. I think KJ Martin's getting shipped off for a second-round pick to the Phoenix Suns, if they even have a second-round pick. I think that Kyle Lowry is getting signed a couple weeks after the buyout market opens up. And I'm going to give you guys a funny one here. I think the Sixers get a center in the buyout market. And his name is Montrezl Harrell.
No.
And they bring him back to the Sixers.
No,
I could see the Sixers doing it. I could, because look, last year, right? They promised us, they were like, yeah, we're keeping a roster spot open. And who did they get? Dwayne Dedmon. And I don't think
I guarantee you Doc wanted him.
I think they're going to try to acquire Andre Drummond in the Chicago deal. And maybe they're not going to be able to get him because for some reason the Bulls are fascinated with Andre Drummond. And they're going to bring back Montrezl Harrell. And that's my negative side. So I hope it doesn't happen. But I know the chat's probably roasting me. Anyway, hopefully Daryl Morey gets something done. And hopefully Joel Embiid's healthy. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, healthy Montrezl Harrell at only 6'7" is still better than Mo Bamba.
I could see him doing it. I could see him doing it, man.
That doesn't mean he's good though.
Trez is rehabbing. Maybe Danny Green and Trez.
Come back,
Azure,
kids.
Crazy, man. Azure with a $10 super chat. I feel Maxey and Embiid, Batum, Kelly, and maybe a lower extent Pat Bev are untouchable, but the rest of the team and pick should all get used for whatever trade that needs to be done. Oh, and I'll add on to that. I'll even give it a bonus. I think Furkan finally gets his wish. Did you guys see Furkan last night? He was cooking. Furkan gets his wish, and he gets moved to duck the tax. So Furkan, shout out to you.
Yeah,
he should be playing 30 minutes a night with the lack of ball handlers on this hospital roster right now.
The only untouchables on the Sixers are Maxey and Embiid.
Yeah. And I do think Batum. I think Batum's number 3 for sure.
I love Batum. I love his fit with Joel, definitely. But for the right price, he's going to.
I really think the Bulls are the wild card team here, though. Like, you think about DeRozan, Caruso, Drummond, even LaVine. Like, they have some dudes, man. Torrey Craig, that could be moved. So
they're not. They're weird. They're not moving no one.
I don't understand why they're going in that direction, though. Like, they know they're not winning.
They're dumb. They're stupid.
Yeah, they said they don't want to rebuild. They want to trade Zach LaVine for players that can help them win now.
Crazy, man.
Tobias.
Asher World says Brogdon is the trade I want. I think we're all in agreement with that. But let's go to the phones, man. Call into the show 508-924-3784 and call in with some aggression, man. Like, give us some thoughts. Like, tell us what's going to happen. Who are the Sixers going to get, or what should they do? Or what do you think about everything in general? Are the Sixers doomed? Are they going to win the championship? We'll see, man. And give us some thoughts in the chat as well. Somebody said the answer to this team is Ben Simmons. You guys got to stop, man. You got to stop. But let's go to the phones, man. First one from the 856. Yo, what's good? Yo.
Hello?
Yo. What's up?
Yeah.
Yo, can you turn the volume down in the back?
I was on the phone with DJ, Yeah, man. First of all, I love the channel, love the content. But yeah, me personally, I think this is probably a write-off year for the Sixers. I think yesterday, seeing what we saw with Embiid, I think his injury is going to be pretty bad. Like you guys said, he couldn't jump 2 days ago in Denver, and he just got landed on by Kuminga. So for me, I just think it's going to be a bad injury. And honestly, I think we have to start looking for a future. I think it's at the point now where he's going to be 30 years old, and the years he's been in the league, he's been hurt every year from his rookie season against the Heat, where he broke his orbital, to last year when he had like his knee swell. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Embiid era is coming to an end, and I think that's probably the best way we have to look at it because I don't think it's sustainable or attainable. So yeah, I don't know. I think we have to get off Embiid and look at the rebuild.
So trade Embiid. So what do they do at the deadline then?
I mean, I don't think it really matters, to be honest. I think this team is. I'm not just saying that because to be a Debbie Downer or whatever. I just think this team, if Embiid's not out there, it don't matter in my opinion. And it's so sad to say, I just don't think Embiid's going to be healthy enough. I mean, you saw last year against the Nets. They were so aggressive with him. Every team in the playoffs, they double him, they hit him, they do little ticky-tack fouls. To me, it just doesn't matter. I just think the Embiid era has to end. And I'm not just saying that because of what happened last night. I just think it's what happens with Embiid. Every year, like something happens. It's a curse. I don't know what it is, but to me, it's not worth it anymore. I think we have to start looking at a good rebuild. I think DJ's point about what Daryl Morey's doing with the cap space, I think that's a very, realistic possibility. I think he's definitely looking at the future without Embiid. And especially with that McGrady thing too, what they did with the Rockets, I think they're probably going to go into a vision looking post Embiid because I don't think no one wants to process again. I think they're going to jumpstart on that. So I don't think the deadline really matters. I think it just has to happen. I think every Sixers fan deep down knows that Embiid probably isn't sustainable long term because his injury history is just so bad. I mean, his knees, we never, even last year with his meniscus, we never even found out really what happened with that. They kind of put it under the carpet. He came into the year with a bad foot in training camp. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's sad, but it is what it is. I think it has to happen. I think he's just not the answer moving forward.
All right, man. Appreciate the call. Could you guys hear that, by the way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's becoming more. It's becoming more and more of a common narrative in the Philadelphia 76ers fan base. And the thing is, if he's injured again in this upcoming playoffs, it's going to become a much more common narrative in the Sixers fan base, and it's going to be a much harder sell for another season of hoping that he's healthy. This one, I thought last season was close to the final straw. I don't know if any of you guys disagree, but this upcoming playoffs has to be make or break the Embiid era because another injury in the playoffs would set it in stone for me. It'd be like it was fun, it was a nice try, but this is just not it.
Yeah, no,
yeah. I disagree because I think you could technically rebuild with him on the roster. I think if you're going to move on from him, Maxey is the most important thing, and the most important thing to getting to the championship is getting Maxey playoff experience. So even though we're going to fail in the playoffs with Embiid, you're still going to put Maxey in spots where he's going to grow as a player, and everything's going to be on him to experience that. And like, look at a player like Anthony Simons over in Portland. That dude's a star, but he has no, like, in terms of experience, he's not even near Maxey in that. So eventually when they do get good and he's like the number 2 or number 1, he's going to have to go through all the playoff struggles. And Maxey right now is 22, 23, whatever he is. He's getting that immediately. And that's going to do wonders for him when he's 27, 28. Look at Jalen Brunson. He's an older type of guy. He's been in the league not that long because he, stayed at Villanova for a while. But I'm telling you, Maxey getting as much playoff experience, that's the most important thing. And if you get rid of Embiid, then you're risking not being good in the regular season because look at superstar trades. You're not getting anything good.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't win the trade by moving on from Joel, and you don't get closer to a championship by trading Embiid. That, like, at the minimum, you're putting yourself in a better spot a couple years from now. That there isn't this immediate turnaround. It's most likely like a draft pick, a young player collection, and then we're back in this rebuild system. And while I love Tyrese Maxey, I'm not ready to lock in that guy can be a number one on a championship contending team yet. I need to see more, and this playoffs is going to be a huge test to kind of have a better evaluation of that. So I do think it is pretty premature to think about this. There is a lot riding on this playoff thing, this playoff run, and I also think the results of tomorrow's MRI is going to dictate a lot of how we feel about Embiid for this season and in the long view. That if this is another notable knock to the knee, that changes the perception from a pretty massive scale.
All right, let's go back to the phones, man. Let's get another opinion in here. Guys calling to the show. Give us some thoughts. Let us know, because now my mood is bumped because I said trade Embiid and start over. Now I'm just kidding.
If you do, I wasn't saying it would be a quick rebuild. It would be a rebuild, but Maxey's young enough to go through one, I think, too.
Yeah, it's tough moving forward, man. You got to stay healthy for sure. All right, let's go to the 916. 916. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
What's up, RB, man? It's your day one, T Miles, man. What's good?
T Miles, what's up, my guy? How you doing?
I'm good. What's up, Eastwood? What's up,
How's it going, man?
Talk some sense into us, man. What do we do?
Man, look, a lot of people say trade Embiid, right? Why would you do that? But they looking at it like he's a problem. It's like this. Look at the rest of the team. Embiid is not the problem. It's the rest of the team. If you take Embiid away, the rest of the team got a losing record.
Yeah.
So instead of saying trade Embiid, how about you trade everybody else starting with Tobias Harris? What if Embiid never played one game this entire season? What would the record look like? But I guess it would be his fault too.
Talk to me,
It's
T
crazy
Miles,
how
man.
everybody's, huh?
Talk to me. This is why I love every time you call.
Nobody's saying take away healthy Joel Embiid. We're saying Joel Embiid takes himself away because he's always hurt.
Yeah, but he's speaking facts though, as in it's always Joel's fault.
But that's the thing. He's always hurt because there's nobody else on the roster that can help him like get buckets like that. That's what I'm saying. If you take him away, what's the record? Look at Allen Iverson. He was always hurt because there was nobody else there. Tracy McGrady. Nobody else there. He was always hurt. Even Kobe at one point. He was always hurt because they had to carry the load.
Iverson averaged 41 minutes per game, and he averaged Iverson averaged 41 minutes per game, and he averaged 30 points per game in the playoffs.
There to, like, help you carry the load. Look at Giannis. He always there, but he got other guys too. The same thing with a lot of the top teams. They got a lot of guys there to help them. Embiid don't. But we always trash him. How we trashing him? But he's not the problem.
I think both of these things can be true. I think both of these things can be true.
How you mad at him? Shaq was like, man, that's the closest thing you gonna get to me. If you get that praise from Shaq, you know you got something.
I think both of these things can be true. The roster is weak. You're right about that, and they haven't built a strong roster around him. But he's also hurt all the time. And Allen Iverson averaged 41 minutes per game and averaged 30 points per game in the playoffs, and there's just no comparison there at all in the playoffs. With Eric Snow and Aaron McKee.
What I'm saying is,
took Aaron McKee to the NBA Finals. Come on.
Something in common, and they always got to carry the load because there's nobody else on the roster. No, this franchise has never gave Embiid the right guys around him that'll help him get past where he needs to go. The same thing with Allen. Matter of fact, we can go all the way back to Charles Barkley. It's the same cycle and repeat.
I think that both of you are kind of right. Like, I think when it comes to the caller, like, yeah, like maybe what Sean said earlier, like maybe Joel's got to take a little step back when you look at it overall. Like, you can't have this guy, being 85% of the offense 100% of the time. So, like, you do need other bucket getters,
That's exactly what I'm saying. And Eric Snow just said this the other day on his podcast. Why in the hell does he have to, score 85% of the points, and then you wonder why he's hurt? That's the reason why he's hurt, because he has to do everything. Giannis don't have to do everything. The Joker don't have to do everything. Look at the New York Knicks. A lot of those guys, Bronson don't got to do everything. We literally went from the 3rd seed because of Embiid carried this team on his back every season. But when he's out, now we dropping down to the 5th seed. We might even be a 12th. We might even be in the 12th seed, man, if we keep going like this. And if Morey don't make some moves, it's just gonna be what it is.
So T Miles, let me ask you, man, like what do you think the Sixers should do then? What do you think they'll do?
Man, listen. First of all, I would start with Tobias Harris. I don't give a damn how many picks you gotta give up. Ain't nobody gonna see them damn picks, man. Who the fuck give a damn about a 2057 pick, man? Don't I give a damn about that, man? Look, give up Tobias Harris and a few other guys to make the salaries match. I would say go get Jeremy Grant and go get Malcolm Brogdon. If they'll give them up. Or whatever else you got to do, like y'all said. Go talk to the Atlanta Hawks. See if they give up Bogdanovich. We got to do something. I don't care what it is, but we got to do something before other teams fuck around and go get these guys, and we just done for it.
T Miles, before I get you out of here, man, do you think that's what they're going to actually do, though? Do you think they'll make a big splash?
No. No, because I spent a lot of time as a kid, man. I'm from New Orleans, but as a kid, I spent a lot of time in Philly and in Houston. I saw what Daryl Morey did to the Houston Rockets. Everybody used to talk about it. Ask anybody from Houston what this dude did to the Houston Rockets. This man don't give a fuck about nothing except for star players or getting a whole bunch of draft picks to trade for a star player. And if there's nobody he likes, he ain't doing it. I'm talking about it's not about what fits the team. He don't give a fuck about nothing if he don't like it. Same thing what happened with James Harden. I've been out here in Sacramento for 8 years now. Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield was on the market. He didn't get them because he wanted James Harden. You see how that works? Mm-hmm. He fucked that shit up.
All right, man. Nah, I appreciate the call. And then thank you for somebody giving us the fire, man. I love that dude's energy. Every time he puts in, even if I don't agree with him, he's coming at it. You know what I mean? So shout out to him. Rate that call in the chat. 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Rate
also,
in the chat. What do you guys think?
If you trade Embiid, he's gonna get to go where he wants to go. Well,
that's fine.
Morey, and he's gonna want to go to Miami or New York, most likely. And New York has absolutely nothing in terms of player wise at this point. And Miami, same exact thing. Well, I don't even think they would trade Bam Adebayo with how crazy they are. But yeah.
Romp, I'm gonna hit you with something real quick. Chat, listen up. I'm speaking it into existence. All right. Put it on Twitter. I think it was yesterday or today. Miami Heat have lost 7 in a row. Remember what happened a couple years ago? Nets lost 8 in a row. We never thought anything was coming. They end up trading James Harden. Get Jimmy Butler back to Philly. Unfinished business. Checks every box. Maxey, Butler, Embiid. Talk me off the ledge, man.
Hey, maybe Jimmy Butler had some kind of magic. Maybe Jimmy has some kind of magic too, because that was also one of Joel Embiid's only healthy playoff years.
Jimmy loves Joel. And imagine how much he would adore Tyrese Maxey. He's the perfect fit. We need Miami to lose the next 5 games or however many games they have until next Thursday. And Jimmy's like, get me out of here.
I'm pretty sure they have the easiest schedule in the league to end off the year, unfortunately.
Damn it. They're not making a final run, though. I don't think they're going back.
Right. I think that was luck last year. I think it's over for them.
All right, let's go to the phones. We got a ton of callers waiting.
Oh, Heat won tonight, bro.
Damn. They won? Who'd they beat?
The Kings.
Okay.
It's not a bad win.
Not a bad win.
All right. Let's go to the phones, man. Let's go to the 267. 267. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, what's up? It's Jay from Philly. I wanted to talk about first this Embiid. Obviously, his health is just the most important thing, and wherever that goes, we're talking about the MRI tomorrow. I think that, it's going to come back pretty well. I don't think it's going to be anything bad, but, anything can happen. But I'm just hoping that, he's all right. Maybe he sits out for a couple of weeks until the All-Star game. After that, you bring him back, get Maxey healthy, get the rest of the guys healthy, like Melton, and I think you go from there. And I think like right now you're looking at like the whole team is hurt. You know, you see like we got like 6 guys who are key rotation players out. I mean, last night you had 3 starters out, and you know, you kind of look at that like that's very important. Like a lot of people are talking about trade Embiid. Like, why would you trade Embiid? Like you're like, yeah, his health is a big concern, but how many players are you going to find in the next 60 years that you're going to get on your team that are, you know, half his talent? Like, it's very, very like rare to find a player who's that good who can change a franchise like that. I mean, you could argue he's the best Sixer of all time if he wins a championship here. And, you know, so let's say, you know, the MRI goes well and he comes back in, you know, 4 weeks, whatever. You know, I think at this deadline, you got the 3 picks you got for the Harden trade, or 2 picks, whatever. Like, you got them picks to make a move, not make a move in 2 years or wait and for this salary cap, whatever. So I think, you know, you make some moves. I think Brogdon is 100% the best move that, like, out there. Like, you see, he can shoot the 3 ball. I think he's shooting 42%. You know, he can play defense. He, you know, can play make a little bit. You've seen some of his alley-oops to Grant. I know we don't have a really athletic guy outside of Oubre on the team, but, you know, he would be great. I mean, you can even talk about starting him, putting Melton on the bench, and putting Maxey at that 2 spot where he's more comfortable at. And then maybe go trade for another guy like Doug McDermott or something, get him on the bench and get some more shooters. I don't really think, you know, Bogdanovich from Detroit's really that likely. I think that it seems like, you know, they want to hold on to him. I don't see why they would, but, you know, it just seems likely.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Shout out to you. Nice take. Appreciate the call. What do you guys think about that call? You guys think about Bogdanovich?
It's not about trading healthy Joel Embiid. It's about if he's hurt again in the playoffs. I'm over it, and you trade him. People keep saying this. Why would you trade a generational player? Because he's never healthy in the playoffs, bro. I don't care if he averages 100 damn points per game in the regular season. I need him in the playoffs. What is this? Congratulations, he changed the franchise. What did that do for me? Nothing. It made Josh Harris $2 billion, not me. I need him in the playoffs.
Yeah. I am surprised the amount of trade Embiid player or people that seem to be out there, but I also like to point out this is back-to-back callers who have mentioned combining Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon in a trade, and I do think that is an interesting thought there. That then you're talking about stacking Tobias Harris and some extra, probably Marcus Morris in that deal, probably Jaden Springer and some picks. That's something that does make sense to me. That I still think we're pretty much all on the same page of 1-for-1 Tobias for Jeremy Grant, and just about any player of that archetype is likely an upgrade from a fit standpoint. Jeremy Grant has his downfalls as well, but that's something that intrigues me of stacking both Brogdon and Grant there.
But it's a no-brainer. It's just, it's so obvious, and they're not going to do it because, oh my God, Grant's contract is terrible.
Yeah, that's another thing.
What are we
Sixers
doing
fans
here?
hate contracts. They don't want to pay anybody. They want everybody for free. I'm like, you know, you have to pay NBA players for them to play on your team, right? Like, why are we so high on these? Like, oh my God, not his contract.
I think people
no one
look
cares about Tobias's contract.
I think they look at the
because he isn't consistent.
I think they look at the ramifications of trying to team build now with the new CBA, and obviously these owners don't want to go into the tax or the second apron and get all these crazy penalties. So unfortunately, it's a penalty that you have to deal with, you know, but I agree. Like, you do have to pay guys. So it's not our money. You know, we're looking for the best fits.
Although, you know, Josh, whatever they have to do to save Josh Harris a couple dollars because he needs to buy another professional sports team at some point. So that is why the Montrezl Harrell signing happened, by the way. It saved him $500,000, which is, you know, money in Josh's couch cushions, but he saved it.
You know what I noticed on this stream too? I feel like nobody has talked about Tobias Harris. Like, it's almost like it's a given that we're just going to go into the playoffs with Tobias. Like, do we think there's any chance that he would ever be moved by next week? Like, we kind of hinted on it, but are we just accepting that and rolling in stride with it now? Like, the Sixers are going to have to make moves without including Tobias Harris. Like, there's no shot this time. I feel like in prior trade deadlines, we're like, well, maybe he'll get moved. Maybe something will happen. Now we're just like, yeah, he's not going anywhere.
I think sadly it has to do with Daryl Morey and him being personal friends.
Crumble cookie.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. All right.
But here's the thing, RB. Here's the thing. Nick Nurse. If you saw what he did with Kyle Lowry, they called Kyle Lowry a playoff dropper. I don't know, man. Tobias, he's got the first round down. He usually does really well in the first round.
It's usually a weak defensive team with small point guards that he can back down in the paint.
I think Nick Nurse, man, it's not out of the possibility. Tobias redemption run to end off the process, it writes itself.
Tobias also shooting the fewest 3-point attempts per game since 2015-16 that he has. And the fewest he ever has is a 6-er, which I just have like a fundamental issue with that from a roster construction standpoint, that in your spot, you have to be able to put up threes next to Embiid, and he just straight up hasn't this season.
And he's shooting one of the lowest percentages from 3 of his career.
Yeah,
he is. That's my thing, though. Like, he needs to do something. And I'm all in agreement, Romp. I think Nick Nurse is going to do wonders for this team in the playoffs. But as Sean and I talked about before, like, if Tobias is not going to shoot threes, is he going to rebound? Is he going to grab 9 rebounds a game? Is he going to defend somebody on the perimeter? What is he going to do in a tight playoff series?
Exactly.
So I just hope that you can get. I hope he like goes on one of those crazy hot stretches, and he just rides that all the way into the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think Tobias has played more physical and more aggressive under Nick Nurse, because I think Nick Nurse does keep it real with players, and I think Nick Nurse takes them into film sessions and says, look at this take right here. You did like a floater high off the glass over a 6'3" point guard, square up, put your shoulder in his chest and finish. And you see Tobias do that, I think, a lot more this season than I've seen him do it, but he reverts back to himself too quickly also. And I think Nick Nurse has to, I don't know, every single game remind him that he's playing soft and to play more physical. I don't know.
It's crazy, man. Frank,
I mean, before he got sick, he was cooking. Before he got sick, he was playing really well. So
hope he can get it back.
Romp Tobias defender today.
Yeah,
that's the craziest part of this. Like, in prior years, he's on the opposite end, and we're trying to talk him.
I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I also saw Caleb Martin last year turning him like Kobe Bryant against the Celtics. So, and also like Nick Nurse, he literally did that. That's what he did in Toronto. He turned that choking franchise, which was like a LeBron ownage franchise, and he flipped them around into a playoff team. They got lucky along the way.
They also added
we can't get lucky for once.
You know what they had? One
Kawhi
of the
Leonard.
greatest stretches we have seen with the guy actually staying healthy. The guy actually
exactly.
So that's
Nick
what we
Nurse
need.
He's got the black magic. Come on.
If Kawhi stays healthy again this year, he might have another ring.
Yeah, he looks phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he's the best player in the game, healthy.
If the Clippers win the championship and Harden gets a ring, boy, oh boy.
I spent the whole first 2 months of this season clowning James Harden and the Clippers, man. And now they're the best team in the league.
We're gonna have to eat some
but a part of it is Harden, but a lot of it is Kawhi has been the best player in the league. Like, and that's always been their issue. Kawhi just going down. He was averaging like 30 points a game, cooking KD before he got injured in the playoffs last year. Like, Harden's a great fit for them, but it's all Kawhi.
Yeah.
Just like it's with us it's all about Embiid,
All right. So with or without a move at the deadline, does Ricky Council need to be in the lineup?
I'm more of a Turk guy myself. Put Turk in.
Turk can't play, man.
That's crazy.
Turk's
he's tiny.
He's so small, bro. He's like, I think
the other night, what game was it where we had the end of the bench, Jaden Springer and KJ Martin?
Turk had 0 for 5 with 2 air balls.
It was a bad game, but before that,
but Ricky Council in that game when nobody could make a basketball move, just took a power dribble and dunked in the middle of the lane. And I was like, holy shit, a basketball player. Look at that. Get KJ Martin and Jaden Springer out of here and put this guy in the lineup. Why is he not in the lineup?
That's how I felt last night watching Furkan. I'm not even joking. Like, he actually had a bag last night. It was insane.
Did you see him? He's got one Luka Doncic play one night. He's got one Luka Doncic play in his bag.
You give Romp an inch. You give Romp an inch, and Furkan has a Luka Doncic play in his bag. Oh my god!
You see that deacceleration yesterday into the Euro off the bank? Ooh,
he had like a step through 3-pointer the other day. The pump fake, sidestep, step through. It's Ferk, he just pulls stuff out. It's bizarre. I hope he gets traded, man. I just want free Ferk.
It's
I want to watch that guy
because
play basketball.
it's because Furkan Korkmaz is really good at basketball in Turkey against Turkish players.
Yeah.
Not in the NBA against real athleticism. This guy won a dunk contest because he put on a Batman cape. He's still only got 4 inches off the floor like everyone else in Turkey. He can't play against athleticism.
This guy plays once every.
Can't believe he got
27
benched
games.
yesterday.
He plays once every 27 games, and he has the confidence of a superstar. And
you gotta love that.
I respect him.
That's
You
why I
gotta love
love
his
him. That's why I
confidence.
always defend him.
I respect him. Shout out to Frank, man. All right, we're gonna get to a few more calls. We got a ton of people trying to call in. Appreciate everybody. Let's go a little bit rapid fire, man. Like, just give us some thoughts, and anybody on the panel, feel free to chime in. Let's go to the 215. 215. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Yo, my name is Aaron Cabbage, longtime subscriber, big fan of y'all. I think we gotta trade Embiid because I'm terrified we're gonna get in a Bradley Beal situation where you could have had all this stuff to start a rebuild. We should wait like 10 years, bro. It's gonna be the worst. But what of you?
Man.
If you wait too long and you end up with 6 second-round picks for him,
Yeah, I almost feel like last season would be the optimal time to trade him after coming off an MVP.
I agree.
But isn't the goal to win a championship here? Isn't that like what we're shooting for? So you're getting farther away from the goal from doing that. And there's no guarantee that, honestly, it's way more likely that it doesn't happen, that all these picks, young players, become anything close to Joel. Like, you know what Joel is when he's at his best. You got to bank that you get lucky.
do we think?
I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Do we think Nick Nurse is running Joel Embiid into the ground?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit for sure.
Damn, Raptors fans.
I mean,
were right.
my theory was yesterday. This is my theory. Did I say this? I don't think I did. I said it off air, but I think the staff was like, "Okay, Joel, keep being dumb. Go out. See yourself." And he went out, and they let him do what he wanted to do, and that was the result. I think they just got sick of him being like lying to them and being like, "Okay, I'm not really injured. I can go through my warm-ups. I feel good. I can play." And I think Nurse and the medical staff was like, "Okay, show us then."
Is
and
Aaron
they let
still on
him.
the line? That's my bad. I cut you off, Aaron. I think he's still on the line.
Yo, yeah, I was just saying that. Like, I don't know if he's injured this playoffs, man. We got to do something because I just don't think it's gonna. I think it's just par for the course for him. I love the guy. I hope he wins a ring, but I just don't think he's gonna be healthy. You know, we got to move on while he's got value.
Tough call, man. Aaron, appreciate the call. Romp, to your point, I will say I was very surprised with Nick Nurse yesterday. I've been a big advocate, but he pulled a dock yesterday. Sixers with 7.5 to go. We're actually clawing back in the game, courtesy of Jaden and Furkan. And he went back to the starters. He put him in, and it crumpled. And if you're not going to take Embiid out when he can't even jump off the ground, which was surprising, why even bring him back in the game? I didn't understand that. I thought it was a bad decision.
Was there a post-game press conference? Like, I wanted to know what Nick Nurse said about this game. Did I miss that?
The one quote that I did see was talking about how it's a separate injury in Joel than he had coming into the game, which in my mind is worse. Like, that means we're dealing with 2 separate significant knee injuries to this dude. But I didn't see the actual press conference. I did see those quotes come out.
Yeah, which means none of these reporters ask the real questions, which I'm also getting sick of because they all work together.
I saw the press conference and it was like 3 minutes, and then every answer was like, the medical staff had the decision and Joel plays a big part in it. And Joel told us he was fine during the game, and it's more about rust.
Interesting.
That was pretty much
interesting.
That was pretty much it.
Trying to block a shot and collapsing to the floor is not rust.
No.
I mean, ridiculous. He does that. He does do that kind of.
Not like that.
Falling.
I don't think you can find another clip of him doing that, trying to block a shot and falling over.
That clip specifically that's going around, that looked like a guy that went to jump and his knee wouldn't let him. Like, yes, he's clumsy. Yes, he falls at times. But that, to me, specifically looked like he was trying to push off his knee and it did not let him.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement where no matter what the MRI says, he should be rested until the All-Star break.
Yep, at least.
At least.
Yes,
I agree.
Even if they think he's can go sometimes, like to save face of how dumb the organization just looked last night.
Yeah, man. It'll be interesting to see how long he shut down, especially when we get the results. Let's go to the 802. Get a couple more in here, then we'll bounce. Great show. 802, what's up? Can you turn the volume down in the back?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, what's up, man? Can you turn the volume down in the back?
Yeah, I just did. Sorry
Awesome.
About that. Sorry about that.
What's your name? Where are you calling in from, man?
Yeah, this is Peter from Vermont.
Peter from Vermont. What's up, man?
Yeah, so just wanted to say, man, the dude that called in earlier that talked about how it wasn't Embiid's fault, and I apologize. I'm not very good with names, but it's great to have short-term memory as a Sixer fan. But he was talking about how it's not Embiid's fault. We need help around him. I totally agree with what he was saying, and I just want to back up for a second. And I think what was the best we've seen Embiid play? Now, granted, this was really good this year. I'm not taking anything away from this year, last couple of years. But like back when we had Steph Curry and Andre Drummond off the bench, man, he looked really comfortable. Like, I think that was, I have to check the stats and stuff like that, but I don't think he had very many injuries during that early stretch because he had somebody else to take some of the load off him. We had a shooter, and, we made the trade for Harden, and we lost Drummond, we lost Seth Curry. It didn't move the needle, and B's like, okay, now where do I fit in? And all that mess started. But what's a coach's job? A coach's job is to assess your players' strengths and weaknesses, and then put them in the best position to succeed. Now, I think what we're seeing with Nick Nurse is he's seeing that he cannot run Joel Embiid's ass off like he did Siakam, right? I mean, he's not Siakam.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like a Rubik's Cube, right? We got to find that magical combination. I don't think we need to trade Joel. I think we need to realize what he is. Okay, he can't take heavy loads. We need to balance that with some shooters, some other scorers, a solid backup, right? And I think we can make it work with Embiid. I just don't think trading Embiid is the total answer here. I think it puts us right back into the process years, or if not worse. But I think it's right now the biggest factor is going to be Nick Nurse. How is he going to adjust to this? In my opinion, what he's done is ran Embiid into the ground. Hopefully he's learned from it. Hopefully he's learned what the strengths and weaknesses are, and he can make these adjustments. Now, also I'll say is, a lot of people were all running down, or people not me, but certain people run down Embiid. He gets hurt all the time, blah, blah, blah. Tobias Harris is one of the biggest chokers in the playoffs we've had, period. He's gone at the end of the year, and we're going to get nothing for him. He's probably one of the biggest pieces we have to trade right now. Like why not put him into the mix somewhere and have Daryl Morey do his magic and pump him up to the next Jordan and get some players and assets in here with Tobias included. I'm just, the frustration is just incredible because, I see it, you guys see it. Like, come on, let's go. I mean, it's not rocket science. We know Embiid. All of us on this call right now know Embiid better than Nurse does. And this year proved it, So this is what's got to happen. I wish you would have had a consultation with some of us Sixer fans, man. We might be way ahead. Just wanted to express that.
Peter, shout out to you, man. Appreciate the call. What do you guys think? Does it just come down to adjustments and coaching and Nurse kind of taking a step back and it was great in the first part of the season. We were winning all these games, but now everybody's banged up. So now I got to take a step back and realize there's more efficient ways to go throughout the game planning.
Yeah. And by the way, go ahead, DJ.
I think Nurse makes adjustments as far as coaching, but I don't think Nurse is going to make an adjustment to his overall style of coaching. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a good adjustment maker, but not in he's been known for years to play players the most, minutes in the league. And that's exactly what he did. He said when he came in here, he wants Embiid to play more. And we were like, what? What did he just say? You want him to do what? He's like, yeah, I want him to play more games. And now look at him. He's not on the floor because I mean, I don't understand the logic there that you think. I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, the running guys into the ground doesn't just apply to Joel Embiid. That Tyrese Maxey leading the league in minutes. That D'Anthony Melton's back has been bugging him for like a month now. Covington's knee has been hurt for over a month now. That Nico Batum's missing games. Marcus Morris. That all these guys are feeling it a little bit. And this is an older roster. These are guys that can't quite take that beating. Even Tyrese Maxey is a guy who looks more worn down in recent games than I've really ever seen him in his career. So I get the desire to win every single game and have your best players out there to give you the best chance of that. But there's got to be a little bit more of a big picture view. And I think that like one of the known downsides of Nick Nurse is being put on full display in this one.
I want to kind of just take the other viewpoint for a second, right? Let's think about Nick Nurse, right? He goes into Toronto. And by the way, this is the first year Nurse has coached a superstar since his first year when he won a championship. And he went into Toronto with a lot of uncertainty because Kawhi Leonard got traded there. They didn't know what was going to happen. He load managed Kawhi Leonard that season. Explicitly, like, we're not going to go over the ledge to get Kawhi Leonard hurt. So why don't they take a similar approach with Joel? Why not rest him every third game to the playoffs?
Dude, Kawhi's been load managing.
Reckless.
Kawhi's been load managing for 10 years
right now. Yeah, Kawhi is like, okay, I'll sit out. I don't feel good.
He's been playing.
Yeah.
He's been playing 30% of a season for like 10 years in a row. He doesn't care. He's like, all right, I'll take a couple vacations and come back and finish the season, whatever.
Is it because of the new rule with the games? Like, is that contributing? Because in Toronto, they were perfectly fine with just letting it slide all the way to the playoffs. And what do you know? He takes him to a championship. And then this is the first year he's had a superstar ever since. So, I mean,
what's in the CBA that changed that besides the minimum for like voting?
Well, it's not only just like voting, but
it's also public scrutiny to an extent. Like, I think like Kawhi was one of the guys that was kind of one of the pioneers of all this, that like at that point, like there was not that this wasn't like looked at as negative as I think it currently is. That I think of late, the heat has been turned up on guys sitting out games kind of unfairly, like very unfairly for Joel specifically in this case. So I think with Kawhi, like he wasn't criticized as much as Joel is for it.
And not only do you miss games, but you also miss out on potential money in your next contract because you don't make the all NBA team or whatever it is. So like I know Halliburton was complaining about that. And
do you see what Halliburton did yesterday? He clocked in for 20 minutes, played, and then sat out the rest of the game. Like that's what
they're doing. That's what we're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we should not be rewarding or pushing. And for Halliburton specifically, there's a $40 million difference based on if he hits the 65 games or not. And like that's a lot of money for any guy, even an NBA player to like Tyrese. So like it's frustrating. And I think like we're seeing the unforeseen like consequences of the 65 game mark.
Dude, also Kawhi Leonard's the perfect player to get away with it though, because he doesn't give a shit what anybody says to him ever. You know, he says 7 words per day. He's not going to waste 2 of them to reply to somebody. Kawhi Leonard's he doesn't care.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Joel
he had
cares.
the same injury. He had the same injury last year that Joel had against the Hawks, and Joel played through that. I'm pretty sure it was the same one, right, Sean?
Kawhi, there was a bunch of weirdness with Kawhi of like him disagreeing with the doctors. That's like what got him out of San Antonio. So Kawhi, like, it's something in the same ballpark. Both of them have kind of weird reportings on him.
Didn't he stop like communicating with San Antonio at one point?
Yeah, he sat out a whole season, and then that's kind of what ended up on him getting shipped out of there, that he disagreed with the doctor's diagnosis of it.
Maybe he had pain, and they were like, listen, ESPN's down our throats about these games that they paid for, and you're not playing. And he was like, I'm not playing.
Yeah, someone in the chat confirmed he had a torn meniscus, and that's what Joel played through in the Hawks series. But I think something that Embiid doesn't get credit for is he always ends his season on the court. So, like, I always keep that in my head. Like, I just feel like he's always going to be on the court in the playoffs. And it's just about, can he manage the injury enough where he can actually be consistent throughout the whole series? Because you look at his numbers, he had like 3 straight 30 and 10 games against Boston, and then he just fell off a cliff. And it was kind of the same thing in the year before. I mean, remember against Miami in the second round, we looked like the worst team ever, and we went down 2-0, and he came back with that crazy mask, and all of a sudden we get back in the series. And then once again, he just died out because he probably wasn't in good shape. So it's like, can you get him to the playoffs? He's probably going to get dinged up, but he's going to be on the court.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people don't take into account when they say trade Embiid. He's always finished this season on the court, and he's always had like glimpses and stretches where it's like, dude, that's the guy. Like Toronto, remember the Toronto series? He doesn't get enough credit for that. But Maxey and Embiid were really struggling, and they could have took game 3, and he had that game winner, and that pretty much shut that series up. And then, of course, he got elbowed in the face. So it's like there's glimpses there, and he always is on the court at the end. So I think he deserves credit for that, and that gives me hope that eventually he's gonna get through it because Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
Look at his playoff resume before he won the championship. Dog doo-doo. Jimmy Butler that everyone loves. Oh, he's Michael Jordan. What was he before Miami? Come on now. Trash. And we're calling Embiid trash, and yeah, he deserves the criticism for some of his playoff letdowns. But I'm just saying, like, Joel, there's a real chance with him. And other players get the benefit of the doubt, like Jimmy Butler, because he went to a perfect situation. Jimmy Butler gets to take the whole regular season off because he's in Miami. Every other place, that didn't fly. He had problems in Minnesota. He had problems in Philly with Brett Brown. But Miami, they can deal with Jimmy's nonsense.
Yeah, but what has Jimmy done? He's going to the finals twice.
Yeah, but why is he going to the finals? He gets to take the whole regular season off, and he has Caleb Martin averaging 20 points a game against the Celtics. And he has every role player for the Heat stepping up.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not going to happen here. I don't know what it is, but it's just not.
Load manage Embiid. Sit him every third game until the playoffs. Every third game. Why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, I'm down.
Get him healthy.
We're about to load manage Embiid for 2 months when we find out what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, but at that point, you're in the
season ender.
This team's going down to the 9 seed without Joel for 2 months.
No, I'm telling you, RB.
First of all, look,
one move, you're good.
Let's get in the play-in tournament. That makes it exciting and fun. It's a fun story. And then we get the 7 seed and we take out the Bucks in the first round. Let's go.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
What if we win the championship without Embiid? A little Nick Foles type run.
B-ball Paul
Maxey takes us to the gym.
You guys are killing me, man.
All right, Marcus Morris game-winning 4-point play in Game 7.
Let's go to one more call, maybe 1 or 2 more, and then we'll get out of here. See what these people have to say, because I feel like we've asked the people to call in and talk about trades. Everything comes back to trading Embiid.
They're all just calling in and saying trade Embiid, yeah.
Honestly, that's where people are at with 8 days to go to the trade deadline. All right, let's go to the 229. 229, what's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, this is Prophet One. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm not doing. Y'all need to be ashamed of yourself, all of y'all. Throwing Embiid under the bus. Y'all need to be ashamed of yourself. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard since they traded Wilt Chamberlain to the Lakers. Wait a minute. Since they traded Barkley to Phoenix. Y'all need to be ashamed of yourself. You need to support Embiid.
I didn't throw Embiid under the bus, man. I don't know what you what you smoking.
I remember
right now,
last year when RB was cussing and calling us fools when he came from the barbershop because Embiid was trolling on us. Yeah, that's what he was doing. That's why I don't even watch him no more. Because now he's letting y'all say all this stuff about Embiid. I can't believe it.
I got a question, bro. What are you
I'm surprised
smoking
with all of
right
y'all.
now? What are
who was at a barbershop? Why
I
were
thought you had some aspiration.
He's saying that I'm the one that's been hating on Joel.
Rump always trying to be a fake GM anyway. He does all right. Embiid, trading Embiid.
Let's go. I needed this. I needed this fire. Do me next.
Come on.
What's this guy smoking, man?
Y'all should know better than that.
Hey, Prophet, I want to tell you something, man.
You know what?
I don't have an obligation. I don't have a Prophet, I don't have an obligation to a player at all. I'm a Sixers fan. I want the 76ers to win. If I get to a point where I'm tired of watching Joel Embiid be injured in the playoffs, I'm ready to go. I got a Sixers flag behind me. I'm
fools and cussed us out. Now look at him talking about trade Embiid.
My guy, I think you need to work on your listening skills.
That's why I don't even come to your podcast.
Well, you're here, right? You just called in.
Eastwood, I'm ashamed of you, Eastwood. Last week.
All right, let's get this dude out of here.
What did I do? No, I want to hear this. He was going to do me.
No, I banged on him because he didn't say one correct thing. Like his facts are off.
Well, I'm ashamed of you guys. He didn't tell us why.
He never got to the point. He was just.
What was the barbershop? What happened at the barbershop?
I don't know. Barbershop. He said that I was hating on Embiid the last year or two. I don't know what this dude's talking about, man. Interesting though. At least he brought the fire though. All right, we got another person online. Let's see if we can make up for that one.
I thought that was great.
360 on the line. 360. What's your name? Where are you calling him from?
Hey guys, it's Mr. Hoover. How you doing?
Good.
How Mr. Hoover, what's up?
What's up, guys? So, interesting last caller. But I'm gonna want to run some things by you guys that maybe I want to get your take on if it would improve the NBA. Okay. Number one, it's hot takes. Call me crazy, just proposing. But hot take number one, would you be in favor of getting rid of NBA owners who own an NBA franchise after 10 years who don't make the playoffs if they own a certain team? Let's say, I'm going to make up names, Mr. DiVincenzo or whatever owns the Hornets or whatever. After 10 years, he doesn't make a playoff berth, he has to sell the team. That's
I kind of like that.
Number two.
Who can implement that rule,
Would
though?
you be opposed? Okay.
No, go ahead to number two. Sorry.
All right, sorry. Number two, would you be opposed to these guys bulking up? Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but I'm being honest. You guys got to bulk up. They got to bulk up. We're talking about these GOAT debates and everything. My personal GOAT of all time is Wilt Chamberlain. Number two is MJ, because no disrespect to MJ, who is a baller and a go-getter. He ain't benching 600 pounds. Wilt benching 600 pounds. Wilt leading in assists. Wilt leading in field goal. Would you guys be opposed to a lot of these guys punching a clock and bulking up? And number three, would you go more towards, this is separate, the Chicago Bulls? Would you talk to them, or would you talk to the Trailblazers as far as trades? A lot of information. What do you think?
I like the owner rule. I'm in on the sell the team if you don't make the playoffs in 10 years. I don't know how you enforce that, but that to me would strike some competition into things that I think would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome, but you can't enforce it. They own the team, which is, a company that they purchased, and they make all the rules. I guess the NBA can implement rules to owners of their franchises.
They did, because they removed Donald Sterling when that was the thing. So Silver had the ability at least to do that, but I don't know how owners are signing on for this whatsoever by any means.
All right. The other thing he said was everyone needs to bulk up. First of all, Wilt Chamberlain benched 600 pounds. I need video evidence of that because that's ridiculous and it didn't happen.
Did they even have 600 pounds back then?
Dude. Nobody benches 600 pounds, dude. The top bodybuilders in the world. You don't bench damn 600 pounds. They didn't bench 600 pounds. But also, bulking up. Look, no. I don't understand that take at all. I need basketball players that have skill that can put the ball in the hoop. Jaden Springer looks like an NFL linebacker and has no basketball game at all.
Desmond Bain.
Desmond Bain's
that's like the only one.
Well, also, you can talk about this too. People need to understand what bulking up is, man. Genetics play a huge part in this. People are just built a certain way. Desmond Bain didn't.
Basketball players are generally built pretty skinny. Like that's the way that they're built.
But somebody that's built like Desmond Bain or Jaden Springer, they didn't do some kind of crazy regimen to get built that way. They're just built that way.
Yeah.
Guys that are built like Mo Bamba are just built like Mo Bamba.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why did we sign him?
And guys that have a crazy metabolism that are tall and skinny like that, like a Kevin Durant, it would take something that's probably not even legal for them to actually bulk up.
Yeah. Kevin Durant couldn't bench 185 when he first got in the league. Like I remember the combine video where he couldn't get that up, that's crazy for an NBA player at that point.
Yeah, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I need guys that can put the ball in the hoop. I don't need them to be stronger. What happened to RB?
I think he might be
yeah. I was
checking
going to ask.
He must have went to the bathroom, possibly.
There he is.
Oh, the caller's still on?
I was bracing myself because my man called back in, but now he hung up.
Who called back in?
The guy that was banging on all of us.
Oh, I wanted to hear what he was about to say, man. I was ready for it.
What do you guys think? Should we take his call again?
Yes. I want to hear what he's mad about. I want him to actually tell us what he's mad about because he didn't tell us. He just said y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
Somebody said I'm making a haircut.
Is he at the barber shop? Like, what was I'm still confused about the barber shop.
Yeah, I don't know. That dude was saying a lot of ridiculous things. I know he's going to call back in, though. He's still watching. That was the funniest part. He said, I haven't watched your guys' podcast in years. But yet here he is, 2.5 hours into a call-in show, and he's calling in, man. Let's see, man. Also, what was that last guy talking about? He was saying, like,
he
said owners got to.
He wants 5 Desmond Baines on the court at all times.
Yeah, he wants players to bulk up. And I'm like, that's just, it's not a thing that really happens in the NBA anyway.
I like the owner rule. You don't make the playoffs in 10 years, you get banned.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, that is cool.
Imagine the Hornets going all in year 10, trying to make the playoffs.
You'd have to.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I don't know. I think my man rage quit. He's not calling back in now. Called in like 3 times.
He said we got to be ashamed of ourselves for throwing Embiid under the bus. But you guys, I was the one that was saying, I thought I was the only one that was saying if he's injured again in the playoffs, I want to trade him. I don't think any of you guys were saying that.
Yeah, I specifically said the opposite. That I pretty much trade Joel under no circumstances. I have to hear it from Joel's mouth that I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me before I'm willing to even entertain that personally.
Yeah, who was throwing him under the bus?
Should request a trade.
Apparently, I was for the last 2 years.
If he was smart, I think it would be in his best interest to request out of Philadelphia, but I don't want him to.
He made some comments this offseason that were, probably the most I can't think of words, it's late, but the most close to that he's gotten in his career.
Yeah.
I think him and Brunson easily win a title. Especially with OG. Easy.
Damn.
I think they could. I think the Knicks could win the East this year. I think Brunson would cook the Boston Celtics.
I think I'm gonna have a hot take on the conference finals. Indiana Pacers.
Nah.
That is the biggest threat in the first round right there. Or second round to me. Pacers. Don't play them.
Yep.
Don't want to play them. They're gonna run you off the floor.
But I feel like the Pacers, to me, like I thought the in-season tournament was like perfect for them, where you can catch any team on like a 1-game basis. I think over a 7-game series, like you start to adjust to that. That like, and Pascal Siakam doesn't scare me. Halliburton's the real deal, but I think Siakam's a guy that like, I don't know. He's Tobias Harris with a permanent green light. Is Pascal Siakam to me, that he gets his shots, he does his thing, he scores hard 2-pointers, but. That Pacers team, like as fun and young as they are, I still think that they've got a ways to go before I look at them as contenders.
I think Siakam has a lot more space to work, kind of in Indiana versus Toronto. Just the game that I saw him against us, and I think that was without Halliburton. Just all the combo guys that they have on the wing, all the wing guys that they have. Mathurin and who else? I can't think.
Andrew Nembhard.
Nembhard. God.
He's good.
Well, don't think my man's calling back in. I think he had enough of us. He probably clicked off the show.
Neesmith is another one.
Yeah, he's good too.
Yeah. Shout out to all 500 people though in here, man. This has been a good show.
Yeah.
It's been an eventful one for sure. But shout out to all the callers and appreciate you guys for coming through. We are 8 days away from the trade deadline. Can the Sixers make some magic happen?
We will see.
Let's hope so, man.
We will see.
See. Speed Demon said Pacers or T-Wolves might win the chip. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. T-Wolves are a fraud in my eyes.
Yeah,
think
they
so?
don't have any IQ whatsoever.
And Edward is the truth, though. That's who you got to
Yeah,
toss
he
the
is.
keys.
What do we think about OKC, though, man? Clippers, like all these teams out west, who's going to rise to the top of the pack?
Denver is way above everyone, in my opinion. I think OKC are frauds, too, because unless they get rid of Giddey, but for some reason they play him 20 minutes a night, which is beyond me because no one even guards him. And Shea, I love Shea, but he really relies on foul baiting, so there might be an adjustment come playoff time. I think OKC is a year away, and I think they should go all out for Lauri Markkanen because they have the assets to do so, unlike any team. But they're not going to do it. So I think Denver easily is going to win the West.
We came into the season thinking the West was going to be a juggernaut, and I'm just looking at all the teams that I thought were going to be good, and a lot of them are just not that good. Like the East is way better than the West. It's crazy.
East is deep, man. Like even the Magic, which I think will probably end like the 8 seed, like that's still not a bad team with Paolo, with Franz Wagner, with like there's players on that team. Like from top to bottom, when you think about like East probably going to shake out with like Celtics, Bucks, and then Sixers, Cavs, Pacers, Heat, like they're good top to bottom in the Eastern Conference, deepest I've seen in quite a long time.
It's going to be interesting, man. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. Shout out to you guys wherever you're listening. Drop a like on the show. Subscribe to the channel. And Eastwood, Romp, Sean, thank you guys for hopping on, man. It's been a good show.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me. This was fun, man. This was great.
Yeah, shout out you for putting this together, RB. That was good chopping up with all you guys. Love doing these things.
Yeah, somebody said we should do a monthly roundtable. That'd be dope.
I like that.
Hold on, we got one more caller. I don't think it's the same guy though. We'll go to one more. We'll see if our other boy is done smoking a joint and calls back in. All right, let's go to the 215. End us off on something good, man. 215. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Byron Esports calling from Frankfurt, Philly.
What's up? Man?
Yeah, I just actually wanted to propose a trade to you guys. I mean, I heard you guys speaking on Jalen Brunson a few minutes ago. Would y'all do a straight up trade for Jalen Brunson for Tyrese Maxey at this moment?
Ooh.
Oh,
that's ripping my heart out.
Yeah. I'm shaking his head over there.
It's not even close. I'm sorry, bro. It's not even close. Brunson's playing like MVP right now.
Yeah, I think
and he can create his own shot. I love Maxey, but
at this moment,
go Brunson, man.
More seasoned, more experience, and a guy that you could feel safer relying on at this point in his career. Maxey in a couple years, I could feel that way. But yeah, Brunson's a dog right now, man. He's on top of his game right now.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. It breaks my heart, but Brunson's the real deal, man. That dude's a straight up killer and a playoff riser too. That he's been phenomenal every playoffs he's been in.
All right, man. Appreciate the call. Damn, we got another caller. People want to call in now. They finally want to talk trades. All right, we'll see who's on the line. 267. What's good? What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Hello?
Yo.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you loud and clear, man.
Okay.
Yo.
Yeah, am I live?
You're live, man.
We'll get you back on. Because my guy just called back in. All right, we're gonna end it with this one. We'll give you one more shot, bro. My guy just got done smoking. He's back. Let's go to
Let him rock, though. I want to hear what he was saying.
Yo, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Yeah, this Prophet won again.
What's going on, Prophet?
Nothing much, man. Yeah. Nothing. How I'm feeling? No, I'm not feeling good when y'all come up talking about trade. Nothing much. Can you hear me?
Oh, we got you.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, y'all. Come on now. Y'all know y'all need to be ashamed of yourself talking about trade Embiid.
Who said that?
A lot of y'all. Y'all letting callers say trade Embiid.
So we didn't say it. So the caller said it.
Well, y'all letting people say it on y'all letting people say it though. Don't let nobody throw our players under the bus. But
Yeah,
hey,
when you do a show, you got to let people have an opinion.
Eastwood earlier today on this podcast, let the dude talk about trading Embiid. Trade Embiid for what? Trade the ball for what?
Hey, listen, Prophet. Number one, maybe not number one, but number two, it is a podcast, and anything that I think is an interesting conversation dynamic, I'm putting it out there, bro. And reasons are because it'll piss off some people like you right now. And, it's good for business. He called in and gave his reasoning why he thinks you should trade Embiid right now, and I put it out as a clip on purpose to get people a little riled up.
Yo, Prophet, who was at the barbershop, bro? What was that about?
You RB was at the barbershop around the time when Embiid was trolling everybody.
What barbershop?
You said you came from the barbershop and you started your show up.
Wow, that's a pretty specific memory.
You called us all fools on your show. You was upset.
When?
Because Embiid said everybody wanted him traded. So you was mad about that.
I'm not understanding where the barbershop comes into play.
That's where you said you was getting your hair cut. You came out the barbershop, and I guess you went to do your show.
Okay. And when was this? When?
Breaking news. RB got a haircut. Breaking news.
Like, have you held on to that memory until now? Is this your first shot?
He's mad you were at a barbershop.
First of all,
like you
sat there. I'm not gonna let nobody degrade me by calling me a fool.
All right. Well, right now you sound like one.
Yes, I did, because you're not gonna call me a fool.
Well, right now you've been talking in a circle for 8 minutes and you haven't said one thing about what the Sixers need to do. This is a trade call-in show. You're talking about barbershops. You want to know what kind of haircut I got too? Come on, man. Come on.
Hold on, I'm hearing this echo, man. I'm hearing myself, and then I'm hearing y'all, and it sounds like some kind of delay. No, I'm not talking about no. Hold up, dude. I ain't talking about no barbershop. That's where you came from. That's what you told us when you came on ranting and raging about Joel Embiid calling us fools and stupid and all kinds of other stuff.
What, today?
But see, I was the only one on your podcast that wouldn't let you get away with that. You're not gonna call me no fool.
I gotta be honest. You sound like a fool right now.
He's mad that you said in the video calling your viewers a fool. That's what he's mad about.
You were calling them. You were calling people a fool.
What I'm saying, but the whole point is, see, back then you was mad about us, or mad at them about trading Embiid. Now you letting everybody talk about Embiid right in front of you.
I don't want to trade Embiid. Have you been listening, bro? Do you need a?
He's saying you're not keeping that same energy, RB.
This is
so you're a fool, RB.
I am.
Wait. I think after 10 minutes, I get what he's saying.
I still don't get what he's saying.
He's saying that Joel Embiid publicly last year said that the Sixers fans want to trade him, and you came out of the barbershop. I don't know why he's mad about that part, but you said that everyone's a fool that wants to trade Embiid, and you were mad that Embiid was upset that everyone wants to trade Embiid, and you called them fools. But he's claiming that he's not in line with that trading Embiid. So you weren't calling him a fool anyway. So he's mad that you were calling other people fools, but not him.
No. Eastwood, he posted because I commented on it, and he posted, and then he called me a fool. When I called P.J. Tucker, saying P.J. Tucker don't score no points, he got mad about that also. So he was ranting and raging. So I just decided, look, dude, I'm not going to support you. And I haven't. Now,
Hey, guess
Romp,
what? Guess what?
Sean, you, all of y'all see ESS, Eat Sleep Sixers, the rights to Ricky. So I support all of y'all. I come around and listen to all of y'all. Everybody know Prophet won. Except RB, you won't see me on your little view no more.
Hey, Doug.
When you was with
Doug.
with Eastwood, I wouldn't even come on Eastwood thing. I just went somewhere else.
Hey, Doug.
You see what I'm saying?
Hey, Doug.
But y'all should, but don't let nobody riff on our players. I don't care who they are.
Hey, Doug. Let me tell you
See
something,
what I'm
man.
saying?
Let me tell you something, man.
I don't know why he's mad at you. I thought you were the one calling people fools for wanting to trade Embiid.
That is what I said. And this guy is like, he's smoking crack right now. And I got to tell
I'm
you,
the
man,
one that said if Joel's not healthy,
you've been on the phone for 20 minutes. See, this is probably why I got frustrated with you, because you've been on the phone for 20 minutes and you haven't said a damn thing other than the barbershop.
About what?
Make a point, bro. Say something. That's why you're a fool. Say
There
something
you go
about
again,
the
calling
team.
people fools, man.
Yes, right now you're being a fool because I've been the biggest Embiid defender
But you
on
don't
here.
know me to.
I'm
here.
the one.
You call me no fool.
I'm the one that said if Joel's not healthy for the playoffs this year, I'm ready to trade him. And he likes me, but he hates you. But he's mad about people wanting to trade Embiid. I'm confused.
Now you got it. Now last year he was saying, calling us fools because, well, he was calling other people fools. People on his viewership fools.
All right, guess what, bro?
Embiid
Guess what?
said everybody wanted to trade him.
You hurt the production of the show, bro. Have a good day. Like,
he helped it for a while. It was fun for a couple minutes.
It was entertaining, but it was just getting annoying. Like,
I think you guys, I think you and Prophet should have a one-on-one stream. Get a therapist, a little couple therapy, and I think you guys should reconcile on stream because it seems like he's really into your content, but he's pissed that you called him a fool one time. But we've been ranting on Embiid the whole stream, but he doesn't care because I guess he just doesn't like us as much. So I don't know. Like
it seems like he just has a personal hatred for you. Because I was just at the barbershop yesterday. Look at this.
Nice.
That's a nice barbershop.
Thank you.
My man could have came in here and said, I don't agree with your take. We've got into it before. But he starts talking about the barbershop. Like, do you want to know what haircut I got? You want to know who my barber is? Like, dude, make your point. I go back and forth with people on here all the time, but like, make a point, bro. Let me disagree with you, you know? Not a barbershop. It's like, come on, dude. Come on. Damn, we got like 10 more callers that called in during that call. Everybody's trying to chime in, man. But wow, that was interesting. DJ said he's mad. RB called him a fool 18 months ago. I just don't know what he's talking about.
One-on-one podcast in a barbershop.
He's in the chat now. He said, see, this is crazy, yo.
I don't see him in the chat. I think he blocked me.
No, that wasn't RJ. RJ's in my playback stream.
Yeah,
all
it
the
was.
time.
I see him.
That was not RJ
RJ.
just called in. RJ, was that you that just called in?
Oh.
I don't know. Man. But shout out to Corey, though. He says, seeing you guys together on a stream is amazing. Great to see. Got to get it more often. Tell you what, man. I mean, we still got 500 people watching us. So shout out to everybody out there. They obviously rock with the roundtables. Yeah, man. They always get interesting for sure. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, it wasn't RJ. What was? Oh, yeah, it was Prophet. My bad.
I have a hater in the chat too. Influencer Nation. He's one of the troll who just wants clicks.
I know who the YouTube viewer is. I'm not going to put his name out there, but I do recall his name after seeing his name pop up on the phone line yet again. And no, I'm not answering again. But I know who he is, and he's one of those. He's like a Wesley Stone, Shout out to
Influencer Nation hates me in the chat. They said I'm a troll who just wants clicks. But what is Influencer Nation? You should like clicks if you're trying to be Influencer Nation. You know, that's how you make money out here.
Yeah, man. All right, Sixers trade deadline. 8 days away. Will they make a move? Hopefully. We'll have to wait and see, man. Shouts to everybody coming through, man. Sean, Romp, DJ, appreciate you guys. Even if we agree, disagree, it's been a great discussion. I feel like we've gotten somewhere after this show. But now we got to wait till tomorrow, see what happens with Embiid.
They better not hide the details either, like they did, like Markelle Fultz or whoever. Reevaluated in 3 weeks. No information.
Ooh.
That's what you think we're going to get a day-to-day?
We better not.
One fun question I have for you guys before we dip. Over under on Ben Simmons games played the rest of the season. 6. 6.5. 6.5.
Under.
I'm taking the under.
Under.
I'm going to go. He's going to play 12 more games.
It's a lot.
It's a lot for him.
It's like more than he's played in the past 3 years.
More so, how many times is he going to break double-digit scoring numbers?
Do you hear his quote after the game too? That when he checked in, he told people it was Ben Simmons' time.
Oh my God,
man. That's crazy.
That exemplifies everything I've ever known about him, man.
That's an Eastwood video right there, bro.
He really thinks he is that dude.
The cockiest 10-point scorer of all time.
Unreal, man.
It's insane.
All right, guys. Appreciate you for tapping in. Great show. Catch you all on the next one, man. Have a
Later.
great day, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Peace.